media capital of the world.
To participate in the general public comment period, please call now at 818-238-3335. For any scheduled public hearings, please call when prompted to speak if you want the comment to be part of the record. Members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes depending on the number of speakers.
Good morning. I finally got the hang of that gavel. Welcome to the Burbank City Council reorganization meeting of December 18th, 2023. I want to welcome Mrs. Allie Schultz, wife of the Vice Mayor Nick Schultz, to lead this morning's moment of reflection. Mrs. Schultz, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, all. I invite you to join me in a moment of reflection as we stand at the threshold of a significant occasion for the city of Burbank. Today, as we begin our reorganization ceremony, we embrace a time of change filled with hope and collective support for our beloved community. A heartfelt welcome is extended to all who are gathered here and watching at home. Take a moment to envision the bright and dynamic future awaiting our community and consider the crucial roles we each play in realizing this collective vision. Our diverse reasons for being here are united by a common thread, a deep-seated desire for the flourishing of our beautiful city. In this moment of contemplation, let's recognize the significance of our contributions and their broader impact. May we find strength and motivation in the idea that by uniting our efforts and fostering a spirit of community and partnership, we are laying the foundation for a thriving and prosperous future. Embracing this transformative journey, let us hold onto the belief that change is beneficial and positive. Together, we eagerly anticipate a future brimming with growth, harmony, and success for all of Burbank. Thank you.
Thank you. This morning's flag salute will be led by longtime Burbank resident and community advocate Ms. Gloria Salas. Ms. Gloria Salas, please come to the podium. Everyone rise.
If you would all place your hand over your heart, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Clerk, please conduct the roll.
Councilmember Mullins?
Present.
Councilmember Perez?
Present.
Councilmember Takahashi?
Present.
Vice Mayor Schultz?
Present.
And Mayor Anthony?
I am so happy to be here.
Thank you.
Now is the time for general public comment. For members of the public who are here in person and wish to speak, please present a completed yellow general public comment card to our city clerk. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the council on any matter concerning city business or any agenda item for today's special council reorganization meeting. For those wishing to call in during the general public comment period, please call now 818-238-3335. Callers will be placed in a queue until all in-person comments have been received. My first commenter I have is Martin Perlmutter, followed by Joel Schlossman. Hello, sir. You have 3 minutes.
I won't need 3 minutes, just esteemed council members, on this august and important occasion. I want to speak on behalf of both of the candidates I expect will be elevated today, and thanking you, Mayor Anthony, for your service. Nick Schultz is inevitable and incredibly desirable in the role that I believe he's about to occupy, and we've all been very impressed by his commitment to public service. I want to speak on behalf of the other candidate, leading candidate in this, and state the reasons I expect, again, they'll be heard more than once this morning. Members of the council, would you raise your hand if you were born in Burbank? There is one indigenous and also openly LGBTQ candidate, and also an extraordinary, though young, public servant. We all know that there is this activity called Run for Something that's happening across the United States, where they're calling out to young people to participate in politics. We have somebody who by any definition is indeed young, but also is accomplished. And I've seen the functioning of the Burbank Democratic Club and many other local activities, including homeless services, in the hands of this competent, indigenous, and honorable candidate for the position of vice mayor. So I want to speak in my moment here on behalf of Nikki Perez and why I think she'd be an extraordinary servant in this role. We're going to do something important today, because this coming year is going to be important to our community and to the country. And we need to represent, and we can indeed lead, physically and humanly in this moment, right? By elevating the right people to this position. And though we have wonderful candidates across this council, I believe there is one in that role of vice mayor who's right, and I hope that we will do the right thing this morning. And I bless you all, and happy holidays to everybody in Burbank.
Thank you, Marty. Mr. Schlossman, followed by Emily Weisberg. Morning, Mr. Schlossman. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. I stood here a year ago, approximately, and I sounded the warning bell about you, and you haven't disappointed. It's been one fiasco after another here in this city, and you've done nothing to help our seniors, to help our renters and our property owners. All you've done is caused rents to escalate, the cost of everything in the grocery store to escalate. Like I said, you have some crazy political views. You stood out in front of one of our biggest tax revenue generators and said, don't spend your money here, they're non-union. And Schultz and Perez, kind of went along with you. And in my observation of what's going on with these two is they are your lapdogs. And the city of Burbank cannot bear another year of that way of thinking. We need to be doing things that help our citizens, that lower the costs, and that's not the way you think. Now, Mr. Schultz, let's talk a minute about one of my fellow citizens, David Donahue. This is a fella who's very well dressed, very well polite, very well educated, passionate about the issues here in Burbank. And, he might have got one little thing wrong about this godmother thing, I don't care. But when you responded to him, you read from prepared remarks. So I hold that to a higher standard. And, you didn't address the gist of what his letter was. You ignored that. And then you took the time, he gets 3 minutes, you get all the time you want. You suggested he was sexist. And then you went on to be racist. And then you suggested he was homophobic. And that's reaching into the gutter. And it disqualifies you for leadership in this city. We're entitled to come here and redress our government officials and talk about our concerns. And his concerns are legitimate, and you have not responded to them. So we need somebody up here who's got experience. It's not you, Ms. Perez. You giggle your way through serious topics. There's lots of things that are serious in this city, and they're kind of pushed away. You you believe everything he says. I sent a letter to San Francisco State University, the Register Recorder. They've got no records of him attending that school. And I checked his name every which way. But you chose to believe in him and support him. So, give it some thought. We need better here in Burbank. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Emily Weisberg, followed by Andre Dionysian.
Good morning, Mayor Anthony and esteemed council members. I want to begin by thanking specifically Council Members Mullins, Perez, and Vice Mayor Schultz for their outreach and partnership in the last few months. It has been challenging, but it's a powerful testament to our partnership now and in the future that we have continued to sort of dispel the myths and acknowledge that school board and city council are partners and will continue to be partners. So thank you for that. And I want to say how happy I am to be here. This time last year, both city council and school board suffered through pretty tumultuous reorganization. The impact of that was, and I think you would agree, pretty negative. The voters of Burbank elect us to do the business of the city and the district, not to fight over the business of the city and the district. And it's clear that each of you subscribes to that belief as well. It's been disappointing to see a few extremist members of our community sling lies grounded in misogyny and racism, trying to influence community members and council members who are far too intelligent to fall for that embarrassing attempt at manipulation. But I know that all of you are far too principled and have respect for the traditions that ensure the peaceful transition from one mayor and one vice mayor to the next. It's unbelievably important because our city is looking to us to lead, not to fight. I look forward to working with, soon to be, I hope, Mayor Schultz and Vice Mayor Perez, who have led with integrity, innovation, and inclusion, and have achieved wonderful things. I know that we will continue to do so for all of our constituents and all of our community members, which is what they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weisberg, Vice President of BUSD. I have Andre Dionysian, followed by Tony Ordakanian.
Good morning, Council. Pardon me, I'm getting over a cold. But it is good to see you all here at the House. For the public record, my name is Andre Dionysian. I sit on the Transportation Commission, but I'm not speaking on behalf of it. First, I'd like to thank Mayor Anthony and Vice Mayor Schultz for their service over the course of the past year, together with the rest of Council. They have presided over Burbank's unprecedented post-COVID economic recovery. For both your leadership, I am personally grateful. Looking to the future, our city has a long-standing tradition of depoliticizing appointments of mayor and vice mayor from within the council. Following precedent, I urge the council to follow seniority and successively the highest vote total in making their decision today. Vice Mayor Schultz has been tremendously effective as a leader in his time on council. He has an immensely impressive resume and a proven record as someone with the skills and determination to effectively lead this council. He has my full and unequivocal support. For the position of Vice Mayor, in keeping with our traditional rotation, I believe Councilmember Nikki Perez will serve excellently in that role. She has over a decade of government experience, reflecting in her thoughtful approach to governance. With vast firsthand experience and the fortitude demanded of this role, I believe she is more than ready, more than well equipped, and will be a fantastic vice mayor. In the last election, the voters showed staggering support for Councilmember Perez. It's only right that council defer to the public's judgment, as councils have done in years prior. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Tony Ordakanian, followed by Carmenita Heligar.
Good morning, City Council. It's great to be back in Burbank with you all to celebrate the holidays, and I just finished my first semester as a junior transfer at UC Berkeley. I think the purpose of this reorganization meeting goes far beyond that of structuring our council. It's about how we choose to direct our city. We come together to celebrate our successes, acknowledge our challenges, and recognize the outstanding public service of today's residents in order to set a brighter vision for shaping Burbank tomorrow. Being a young adult, I realize how modern issues affect me, or how they will soon impact my life as I return from my academics. Members of the youth have even begun jumping into the field of grassroots advocacy and dedicating themselves to public service in order to alleviate heavy burdens that have been placed on their generation. Though my hope for a brighter future is not lost yet, it still shines bright from many friends and mentors who have inspired me, especially from one mentor that we have in this room, a young leader that I'm proud to call a friend, Councilmember Nikki Perez. As I believe this council should preserve and practice its long-standing tradition of a rotational mayor and vice mayor. This tradition occurs at a time where our most vulnerable communities are in desperate need of leadership that truly reflects their priorities and concerns. Nikki Perez, in my humble opinion, has truly embodied a level of public experience that has paved the prospects our city can follow. With her hands-on work in social welfare management, nonprofit programming, state policymaking, and on-the-ground volunteering, she's devoted her life to uplifting residents by work that rejuvenates people's lives and enhances the quality of life for many. She's broken barriers as an inspiring member of the Latino community. She has fought relentlessly for the LGBTQ+ community. She's gone and assisted and taken initiative for many unhoused families, and is a great guardian of the arts and culture that sew the very fabric of Los Angeles County. So as our city aims for a more prosperous endeavor, I ask that you support Councilmember Perez to assume the role of Vice Mayor as she demonstrates profound leadership in tangent with Councilmember Schultz as our next mayor. A true product of Burbank and an example of what our youth, newcomers, and underrepresented can accomplish. I firmly believe that choosing Nikki Perez signifies our trust in her ability to direct Burbank forward to a greater future. Folks, I just turned 21 last Tuesday. I had my first glass of Hefeweizen. If I had it with me right now, I'd make a toast. But just pretending that I have a glass in my hand, Nikki, thank you for everything. Council, thank you for your service this year. And happy holidays, Burbank.
Thank you. I don't know how they do it in Berkeley, but it's a little early in Burbank. All right. Carmenita Helagar, followed by Christy Maloof.
Good morning, council and staff. My name is Carmenita Helagar. I've been a 19-year resident of Burbank. I have one question for our now Vice Mayor. Will you think about relinquishing your power? These past few weeks, I've been swarmed with calls, requests for coffee and tea to discuss the takeover of a Nikki and Nick Mayor and Vice Mayor tag team of terror. But let me explain. When I ask people why they won't come and speak up, they fear that their boards and commission positions will not be renewed. They fear that projects put forth to the council will be removed by our now mayor from the agenda or voted no. The worst are the parents that fear that the two of you will call in favors of school board members and affect the education and safety of their children. Yet here I stand putting all the same things, including my campaign, on the line. The insidious nature of the patriarchy is the ability to create friction amongst women and makes them believe that they are not worthy of power. Councilmember Perez, you are a Burbanker through and through, who went to school here and has sat on commissions. Councilmember Takahashi, you have lived here for years, raised your family here, sat on important boards and commissions. Councilmember Mullins, you have 35 years of governmental experience, owned a small business, and was our elected city clerk. Yet someone who has never sat on a commission, moved here months before running, is about to become our mayor. How did that happen? Mayor Anthony, I blame you. You ran for city council and lost, then worked your butt off to gain signatures for ballot measures, sat on a board, made a name for yourself, and then turned around and tagged Nick in. You introduced him in town, and it looked as if the two of you were running on a ticket together. I will end with this. Since racism was mentioned, racism in itself is a construct that's upheld by all of us. Even I can uphold racism. I will show you and take you in the future 20 years from now. If 20 years from now, Vice Mayor's son is going for a job and my grandson, who's the same age, is going for a job here in Burbank, and both have the same exact qualifications, the only difference will be the fact that he can say his father was once mayor here. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Maloof, followed by Gloria Salas.
Good morning, happy holidays, and thank you for all of your service. My name is Christy Maloof. I'm here to support Councilmember Mullins. She's an experienced candidate and knowledgeable council member. She devotes her full time to the city of Burbank, and she is not running for a higher office. I support Councilmember Mullins. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Gloria Salas, followed by Janet Deal.
Good morning, Mayor Anthony, City Council members, City Manager Hess. As we know, both the mayor and vice mayor serve in basically a ceremonial role, with the only real responsibility being chairing the council meetings and taking the heat when things go wrong and none of the glory when things go right. I get out and about quite a bit in the neighborhood, and I hear talk, gossip, and rumors. I've heard that there's been a social media campaign going on challenging the method of electing the next vice mayor. I hope that this challenge has not emanated from any of your camps, and if you have heard this talk, that you've quashed it. If I remember correctly, about 6 or 7 years ago, the City Council discussed a resolution providing for the vice mayor to be council member who has never served as mayor. If there was more than one council member eligible, then of those eligible members, the member with the most seniority is elected. If 2 eligible members have the same seniority, then the one with the highest vote count from the initial election shall be selected as vice mayor, which has been the tradition. So if we follow tradition, the next vice mayor would be Nikki Perez, who received 17,958 votes, followed by Tamala Takahashi, who received 15,849 votes, and then Zizette Mullins with 14,328 votes. So I hope we go with tradition as it has always been. Otherwise, then I think council needs to sit down and come up with another policy on how do we select our vice mayors. Thank you.
Thank you. You just had to give me the number again, didn't you? Janet Deal, followed by Ted Oligan.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. I'm Janet Deal. Surprise. And I'm here first off to say thank you for your service this last year. Thank you for your involvement with PFLAG. Thank you for your involvement with Transportation Commission and helping us figure out how to keep transportation, especially for seniors and disabled, continuing to go through our city. And thank you also for all of your involvement in all the different boards and commissions. Thank you for helping us with sports for disabled. Thank you for being a parent of a child in school and going to PTA functions as well as city council functions. That's pretty rough. It really is. And as a friend and a colleague, I appreciate all of the things that you have done in this city. It's impossible to be at every single event, but you made it your priority to be there when Herb Merez passed away, one of our survivors from the Holocaust, who was a speaker for years in Burbank. And you came and you spoke, and it was very important to the family to have you there. To the rest of you, I see a lot of wonderful faces, people that I've known, worked with, and really admire. And I think that Nick would be a wonderful mayor. I think Nikki would be a very appropriate vice mayor. And I think that the other two ladies will have their turn, that it's not over. You know, it's just moving along. And basically, what I want to do is to reinforce the fact that even though things have been difficult and we're still coming out of the COVID period and everything, you have all been there to support us and to help us. And I appreciate that tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you. Key to the City recipient, Janet Deal. From the Assessor's Office, Ted Oligan, followed by David Donahue. Oh, did Ted leave? Oh, I'll wait for him to come back. Moving on, David Donahue, followed by Johanna Z. I'll go next. It's fine.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, talented staff. My name is David Donahue. At the City Council meeting last night, I brought up the question of nepotism and merit. Today, I want to ask about a situation that I believe is just as important, if not more, and that is the appearance of conflict of interest. I wanted to begin by addressing Vice Mayor's comments regarding whether Councilmember Perez is the godmother of his child, a statement you vehemently denied. So much so, you called me a liar and spreading lies. My comments were made after careful research and confirmed by multiple sources, to which your use of the word lie was incorrect, and the claims of her officially not being the godmother may be true, but that was not my understanding, and that is only misinformation. Viewing this meeting and in the chamber today are people you yourself referred to as Councilmember Perez as the godmother. I asked for how long you've been using this term as a reference, even if only as a term of endearment. I did my homework, and I want those in the chamber and watching to hear it from you. The other, and I feel more importantly, is to address what I see as a conflict of interest. I am told Councilmember Perez is in a committed relationship with a person that is working for your campaign. Is this person paid either directly or indirectly by your campaign? Is there a company that this person is involved with that the campaign pays? If there is no current compensation, is there a promise of a benefit if you are elected or not? As I am told, Councilmember Perez and this person live together, and this would then result in a benefit, either directly or indirectly, from this arrangement, and is the only reason I bring this up. It is not a personal attack, but something I just want to understand. Any perception of conflict of interest needs to be addressed today before the nominations for mayor and vice mayor are made. Based on this, I would ask Vice Mayor Schultz to recuse himself from nominating Councilmember Perez, and that you not accept any nomination for mayor. To the council, I suspect, if not all of you, many of you, if not all of you, are aware of this information. And I ask that you reflect upon the implications if you select either Vice Mayor Schultz or Councilmember Perez to become the next mayor and vice mayor. What does that mean for Burbank? The choices I feel that would avoid any potential conflict of interest or perception of nepotism is to nominate Councilmember Mullins for mayor and Takahashi for vice mayor. To the City Attorney, I ask that you submit my question to the Fair Political Practices Commission and make any comments you feel are necessary in light of these questions. Vice Mayor Schultz and Councilmember Perez, in your response, I hope you will refrain from another repeat performance of personal attacks and name-calling. It is, in my opinion, an attempt to chill or to intimidate legitimate questions affecting Burbank. You all have been made aware. Please govern yourselves accordingly.
Thank you. Mr. Oligan? followed by Joanna Z.
Good morning, Mayor Anthony and the rest of City Council. I'm here this morning to encourage City Council to engage in its tradition of rotating leadership and to allow your colleagues to assume leadership among your ranks as has been traditionally conducted. I understand that the issue of identities in regards to those of Councilmember Perez has been made into a concern, and I stand before you alongside my Indigenous sister as two of our county's approximately 150,000 Indigenous community members, the largest concentration of Indigenous people in the United States, that I may add. In an age when identity politics has become a total weaponized, I implore you to consider the significance of electing Burbank's first Indigenous and LGBTQ plus vice mayor and the message that sends throughout cities in Los Angeles County and the region. We each deserve a seat at our table, and I can't think of anybody better than Councilmember Perez to represent me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oligan. Give our regards to the assessor, please. Johanna Z, followed by Mohammed Raza.
Hi, Council. Thank you for your service. And I'm one of the Uber drivers here, and we do have very big issue in general in Los Angeles area. While this has been a good job, it is getting worse and worse. The companies are paying us less and less, even while charging customers more and more. We have to wait hours to fare, and sometimes they send us trips that are money losers. 15 miles, $10, which is not enough money to cover the cost of operating our vehicle. This has created a worse situation in the lot. More people waiting for longer time. Heat and weather makes the job almost impossible, and we have no facilities or sanitation forcing us to leave either the parking lot. And for that reason, lots of drivers, they put the tents, and we need that tents over there to stay, to be survive, because we have Uber Black and SUVs with Uber X drivers over there. And this is the issue that Uber and Lyft companies are taking between 50% to 75% commission from us for no reason. Thank you for your service, and please pay attention to help us. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Due to the nature of the special meeting, if you are here speaking on something that is not related to the agenda item, I am going to limit you to 1 minute. So I will go through the list, and if it looks like there's a lot for one particular item. Mohammed Raza, followed by Aroten Norsinian. So because this is a special meeting, I'll give you 1 minute each, but we do have the rest of the business of the city to get to. If you want to just come up and please. Thank you. I'm not going to deny you the opportunity to speak, but let's move it along.
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I've never been this type of places, so maybe I'm not going to be polite enough. But I'm here to talk behalf of most of the Uber and Lyft drivers who are, I want to say, surviving on the Burbank Airport lot, because right now we're just receiving that there is airport trying to take off the tents and everything, but I just want to let you know and let everybody know that these tents that we made is not just for fun. We are just don't running away from our houses and everything. We are there and trying to put a little bit comfort as possible to work there and provide the Burbank more clean cars, beautiful cars. Everybody's like our service and everything, but for that you're supposed to help us a little bit to leave the tents out there, because the tents are letting us to stay there longer and work there. Otherwise, in a summer or in a rainy times, it's literally gonna be impossible to stay there. Thank you for everything. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
can I make a recommendation?
Absolutely.
In the interest of time, since this is supposed to be limited to agenda items
Right.
only, what I'd like to do is, if possible, if I could have Mr. Prescott maybe meet with whoever is kind of there
Yes.
in charge of the Uber Lyft
Let's
people,
do that.
and take that kind of offline so we could continue our reorganization meeting.
If you are here on a particular item that the speakers have been speaking to, if you'd like to step outside, Mr. Patrick Prescott, Community Development Director, would like to speak with you, and hopefully we can organize a conversation there. So I will move on. But I do appreciate you coming down. It is a public meeting. That's what we're here for. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I got quite a few cards. John Moody, are you here? I have a speaker card for John Moody. Okay. Melva Denman. Melva Denman. My last speaker card is Daniel Kleiman. Daniel Kleiman. Okay. All right. I don't see Daniel in the office. All right, moving on. We have callers.
Yes, we do.
The first caller is Vicky Kirschenbaum.
Hello, Vicky. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity to speak. I do tradition of rotating the mayorship and vice mayorship based on seniority and vote count. And I ask you to vote for your colleagues Nick Schultz for mayor and Nikki Perez for vice mayor in keeping with that established convention. Mr. Schultz has demonstrated exemplary leadership skills as vice mayor and will excel as mayor. He's well-versed on a wide range of issues and has taken firm stands to improve the quality of life in our city. Ms. Perez is a strong progressive voice for young people, the Latino community, the LGBTQ plus community, and has over a decade of government service. I look forward to her serving as vice mayor. Thank you for this time to speak.
Thank you.
The next caller is Alessandra Valdez.
Ali, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm also calling today, along with my other fellow community members, to voice my support of rotating the mayorship and vice mayorship based on seniority and vote count. I am asking City Council today to vote for your colleagues Nick Schultz and Nikki Perez for mayor and vice mayor, respectively. I also just want to make a comment that Councilmember Mullins received the least amount of votes in last year's election, but it's very, very obvious and transparent that our city's local conservatives, that she's the person that they want to prop up as mayor. I just say keep with the tradition. It's very clear who will be the next mayor and vice mayor. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
The next caller is Joe Pimienta.
Joseph, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, staff, and the rest of the public. I'm calling simply because usually when I come to City Council is to speak when I come to City Council is in regards to advocating for tenant protections, but this meeting is a little bit different. And yeah, I simply wanted to call in and say that in the time that I've been attending City Council meetings, ever since, I have had the pleasure of interacting with all council members, and I have very supportive and positive words to say about all of them. However, in this particular instance, I would just simply like to say that I support the tradition of rotation of membership and look forward to having Vice Mayor Schultz become our mayor and Councilmember Nikki Perez become our vice mayor, because out of the time that I've been attending City Council, they have shown excellence in the way that they talk about different issues. They have demonstrated their support for the community, and I simply would like to see where that goes. So, with all that in mind, thank you very much. I hope that you sustain this tradition and keep things going the way that they should. And I look forward to seeing all of you in 2024. And for the rest of everyone else, thank you for your attention and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
The next caller is Tracy Tabb.
Tracy, you have 3 minutes.
Hello, City Council. My name is Tracy Tabb, and I'm the president of Burbank Pride. And today I'm speaking on behalf of Burbank Pride in full support of Nikki Perez being elected as the vice mayor of Burbank. Not only is this in line with the city's traditional rotation, but it's also historic as she would be the first openly LGBTQ plus vice mayor in our city's history. This level of representation is extremely important to our members and the entire LGBT community in Burbank. The community has never had a voice before on the city council until the election of Ms. Perez, and we're all very excited to see history made today. I also want to say that I have personally had the pleasure to work with and gotten to know Nikki Perez even before she was on city council. She's one of the most passionate, driven, community-focused people I have ever met. I have no doubt when she is elected vice mayor, she will continue to be a trailblazer that I know she will be. She is exactly what Burbank needs to keep bringing the voice of the community to the government. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
The next caller is Zahir Hawara.
Zaire, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, council members. My name is Zahir Hawara. I've been a resident of Burbank for the last 40 years, and I do represent a large committee in the city of Burbank. I would like to thank you all for your service to our city, and I'm calling to support Councilmember Mullins for the position of Vice President. I've seen Councilmember Mullins during her campaign, and all politicians, they make a lot of promises. However, I have seen Councilmember Mullins delivering most of her promises and listening to us and listening to the residents of City of Burbank and their concern, and her long history of public service over 2 decades of working with local government. I believe she would be very fit for this position, for a vice mayor's position. Thank you so much for your service, and wish you all happy holidays.
Thank you.
The next caller is Alex Arciniega.
Alex, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, good morning, everyone. City Council, city employees, and the general public. I just want to say, wow, 17,000 votes, Ms. Perez. That's amazing. I wanted to just discuss how comical I find it that there are people in the audience that are saying there's nepotism and preferential treatment. When Suzette sat on the conservative board for Vision Burbank, I don't even think the guy who founded it lives in Burbank anymore. But I want to go back to why I'm calling. I come to you as a proud Latina, a Burbank parent, homeowner, environmental justice champion, an instructor at our local Burbank Adult School. I want to advocate for Nick Schultz as mayor, Miss Nikki Perez as vice mayor. Here are the qualities that I like about both of them. There's honesty. There's transparency, even when we have very vocal disagreements. There's mutual respect. They're here to represent all of the Burbank residents, not just the ones that they think voted for them, as we can see with 2 other candidates. I think that keeping in line with tradition, the quantity of votes matters. I really would want to see strong leadership from a strong progressive voice like Miss Nikki Perez. She's shown exceptional leadership, and our Latino youth really benefit from it, and we have very large numbers in Burbank. So we need to really lift her up. We need someone who's forward-thinking with state experience who will take us into the future and is not so deeply embedded with the lobbyist groups. We need an experienced social worker who is transparent, realistic, and helpful. She's helped us when we've tried to assist those who need housing, who are on the verge of homelessness, and those who are unhoused. She will be great at preserving the Burbank that we all know and love while looking forward towards a more inclusive town that will support all people. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next caller is Claire.
Claire, you have 3 minutes.
Hallelujah. The light at the end of the tunnel is upon us. Mr. Anthony, I don't know if it's Mr., has made a mockery out of this incredible city in the state of California, in the county of Los Angeles, all of the United States of America for that matter. Whatever his views are on whatever. Policeless state, defunding the police, telling parents what their children should and shouldn't read, everything. This hypocrite, this useless individual is gone starting today. But here's the problem with this, right? The only way that this useless individual could have done any of this is with the fact that he knew he had the full support of certain individuals on the council. And those certain individuals sit right next to him and across from him. And that is known as Nikki Perez and Nick Schultz. Now, my understanding is that Nick Schultz thinks he's the presumptive vice mayor, presumptive mayor. And, you know, Nick, I will tell you, you are nothing but a Constantine Anthony more educated, better polished, cleaner, and a better politician. That's what you are. And you, Nick, you're the exact same thing. So here's the deal, right? You should not be mayor or vice mayor, Nick Schultz. You should not be vice mayor at all, Nikki Perez, because neither one of you care for the city like anybody else, especially after the tumultuous year that we have had. So what should happen is we should get back to basics. And again, Nick, it's not that you're a POS, which you are, but you promised us that you would not leave Burbank, you would not do anything political aspirations, and you did, and you are. You're running for state assembly, which you will lose, but you are running for that. You're leaving Burbank. There's no reason for you to be mayor. You have a full-time job. You have 2 children. You don't have time for Burbank, and Burbank needs a captain right now. Burbank does not need another rudderless ship drifting in the ocean for no reason. So the only people that are left that have the love and the respect for the city are Suzette Mullins and Tamala Takahashi. Suzette Mullins should be our mayor, and Tamala Takahashi should be our vice mayor.
Thank you, caller. Your time has expired. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. The reign of terror is over. Yes. Next caller.
The next caller is Brandon Zavala.
Brandon, you have 3 minutes.
Perfect. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Brandon Zavala with the local small business right here in Burbank. I'm calling to express just how proud I am to see a true public servant who has dedicated their life to helping others become the first Indigenous and LGBTQ council member selected as vice mayor in Nikki Perez, and Nick Schultz, who understands the positive impact of sound public policy as our next mayor. This means so much to folks like myself that get to see 2 people with my lived experiences who know what it means to struggle to make ends meet or find community, building the future of Burbank. Nikki and Nick will be transformative leaders, and I cannot wait to work with all of you to support local small businesses. Mayor Anthony, thank you for your service from the strike line to City Hall. Council members Takahashi and Mullins, thank you for your service to date and in the years to come for Burbank. And thank you all for making Burbank a beautiful place to work and do business. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next caller is Shant.
Shant, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Mayor Anthony, Vice Mayor Schultz, members of the City Council, City Attorney, and staff. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning. I'm a proud resident of Burbank, and I'm calling to express my support for the consideration and nomination of Councilmember Mullins to serve as the next Vice Mayor of the City of Burbank. Councilmember Mullins is an experienced candidate, and during her term on the City Council, she has consistently demonstrated her leadership, her professionalism, and her ability to exercise sound judgment and fairness in achieving effective policies for all residents of Burbank. I appreciate the City Council's time, dedication, and service to the city of Burbank and wish all of you a happy holidays. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
The next caller is Robert Eager.
Robert, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank the City Council for serving. I know it's a terrifically important job and very difficult. I'll make it brief. I'm here to support Suzette Mullins and for mayor and Pamela Takahashi for vice mayor. I'm not so sure that just because you've been in office for so many years, you automatically progress. I think it should be for the best person for the job. Thank you all, and have a happy holidays.
Holidays, thank you.
The next caller is Maria Solorio.
Maria, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Hi, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council Member, and incredible staff. I'm calling in, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself first. I am a first-generation Latina, a board-certified behavior analyst, and a doctoral student. As well, I represent the city of San Fernando as a council member. And I would like to congratulate all council on the amazing progress that Burbank has made in DEI. You have all had an incredible year. And I also am calling in support of this council holding their ceremonial, traditional, or rotation, by consequence, voting in their first Indigenous and only second Latina to be vice mayor. I am really proud of our neighboring city of Burbank in their progress and looking forward to working with Mayor Schultz and Vice Mayor Perez, who have been great regional partners and colleagues. I wish you all very, very, very happy holidays and hope you have a wonderful time with your family and friends during your time off. Thank you and have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
The next caller is Marilyn C.
Good morning, City Council. I'm just calling in support of rotating the mayor and vice mayor, and I'd like to voice my support as a lifelong resident and worker in Burbank for the last 40 years for Ms. Mullins and Ms. Takahashi. I believe they incorporate Burbank values. I believe that they hear the community, and most importantly, their impartiality in all respects to whatever is happening. Burbank does not need a few more years of the same old that we've been having. And for that reason, I support Ms. Mullins and Ms. Takahashi for mayor and vice mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next caller is Vicky P.
Vicky, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm calling to voice my support for Ms. Mullins and Tarashaki. I think they're the best people for the job right now. They know what they're doing, and they're very well qualified, and this is exactly what Burbank needs right now at this time. So I hope they win, and God bless them, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next caller is Daniel Kleiman.
Hello.
Hi, Daniel, you have 3 minutes.
I just want. Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Dan. I'm a 6-year resident and worker in Burbank. I want to first say it's really heartbreaking to hear this homophobia and bigoted language. That it's just not enough to support candidates, that we have to bring others down. And I think that has no place in Burbank. And I hope that the city council members who this language is used to support. I hope that they'll condemn this language, that we shouldn't be pulling people down. We should be lifting everyone up and celebrating each other's differences. But I also want to thank City Council. The five of you have been very supportive. We're in the midst of a housing and homelessness crisis. 8, 9, 10% year-over-year rent increases, no-fault evictions on a grand scale, landlord harassment and intimidation. And I want to say that the five of you have done a great job in being empathetic and listening and supporting the 60% Burbank renter majority as we fight for renter justice. So thank you, all of you, very much. And I also want to throw support behind continuing Burbank tradition. I think Nick and Nikki, you guys have done such a great job in helping support Burbank's renters, but all of Burbankers that have issues. And I look forward to Nick, you becoming mayor, and Nikki, you becoming vice mayor. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to the two of you becoming Burbank's future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next caller is Helen P.
Hello?
Helen, you have 3 minutes.
Hi. My name is Helen, and I'm a lifelong resident of Burbank, and I raise my children here and my grandchildren here. They go to Burbank schools. I want to support for Mayor Mullins, Zizette Mullins and Takahashi. I think Burbank is the most beautiful city, and it's a very business friendly, and it's very a progressive city, and I want to keep it as like that. I want it to have the small town feel that it has, but and I feel that Miss Mullins will do the best job. I think she represents the values that Burbank has, and the way of life that Burbank is a diamond in the rough. It's a city and a little town within LA, and it should be kept like that. Thank you, and I'm calling for Zizette Mullins. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
The next caller is Gary Hubbard.
Gary, you have 3 minutes.
Hello there, council and staff. I'm Gary Hubbard, a resident and owner, relatively new in the community of Burbank. I moved here in retirement from Washington, D.C. with my wife, and I've gotten to know both Nikki Perez and current Vice Mayor Nick Schultz. And I'm very honored to know other members of the City Council. I like the idea of this reorganization, and I like the idea of having voice in our community and exercising that voice. I have a daughter that lives here in Magnolia Park for the past 20 years with her husband, and we moved here to be part of the community and to be good grandparents with our voting grandchildren who are graduating from college as we speak. I like the idea of the tradition and rotation, and I think that works. We have enough dissension in this country now, and I'm glad I got away from Washington, D.C. with all the polarization, but I like good young leaders and experienced leaders, and I think we have that reflected in the tradition of the rotation process, and we need to respect the rotation process to avoid division in the City Council. Everyone gets their turn at bat. We need all the diversity, and we need unification with the City Council. I'm just giving my voice in support of the tradition of Nick Schultz becoming the mayor and Nikki Perez to bring a youthful and highly qualified voice to the City Council. Let's maintain unity in this City Council and not create unnecessarily distraction of of not following the tradition. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next caller is Mark Scroggs.
Mark, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank the City Council for all the support and recommendations that you've offered myself and fellow town agents in dealing with the after effects of the recent strikes and the upcoming future strikes. I think it's been real helpful. Other cities have not been as helpful, and again, I want to say thank you. I also want to express my support for Nick Schultz and Nikki Perez. I support all of you, but for this case, these guys, because you've been great to work with. And I look forward to working with you guys to help with the entertainment industry maintain and kind of build on the economic support that we have from the last few years. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Mark.
Mr. Mayor, I'm being told that was our last caller.
Oh, okay. That was a surprise. All right. I will close the public comment period. Now is the time for a brief response from City Council, City Manager, City Attorney. Mr. City Attorney, you got something?
Yes. First, I'd like to say that the council can feel free to choose mayor and vice mayor in any manner it wishes, provided you have a motion, a second, and a vote in the traditional parliamentary procedure. There are no required procedures other than the city's charter, section 400, which provides at this meeting, the city's annual reorganization, that the council will choose from among its membership the mayor and would also choose a vice mayor at the same time. There's no other traditions other than traditionally the vice mayor has been nominated for the mayor. So generally the tradition is that the mayor would have been the vice mayor before. Even when mayors have had a second term as mayor, that it's kind of a process that the community could see. But other than that, we haven't traditionally over the long term looked at number of votes or really council's free to be guided by whatever factors they choose in selecting the mayor and vice mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Council, any comments, brief response? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick follow-up. One of the commenters mentioned a resolution. Was there ever a resolution passed that?
There are resolutions generally governing meeting procedures, but none that specifically identified who should be mayor. In the past, there have been council members that had a hard time becoming vice mayor and mayor, and there was a change in the council that saw fit to give people who had been on for a long time and hadn't had the opportunity. So there was for a while a brief tradition where someone with seniority wasn't selected by the council, and that may have had more to do with the spirit of cooperation than anything else. But there are resolutions, but those have generally governed meeting procedures, periods of public comment, those sorts of things.
Okay. All right. Good to know. All right. I just, if you wanted to. Sure. Yeah.
I was just waiting to see if any of my colleagues had any response. So I can't go through every public comment because we do have business to tend to. But first, I want to thank everyone for coming down today to give your comment, those who participated by phone. I'm only going to briefly address 3 commenters because I think that they raised fair questions. And then, anything else we'll get to in the ordinary course of business. But thank you, everybody. With regards to Ms. Helliger, appreciate you coming down and sharing your comment. I just had a brief response. You talked about 2 separate issues. As you well know, as chair of our Board of Library Trustees, you talked about 2 things, setting of the agenda items or revoking appointments as a means of retaliation. You know, and I know that you know, that with regards to the agenda on the council, that is set by the city manager's office based on city council goals. The mayor does not set the agenda. And I also know that you know, because you've been through our appointment process, that for someone to be not reappointed or removed, it is not up to the mayor, it is up to a majority majority vote, 3 out of 5 votes on the council. So I strongly encourage you, if you haven't already, to those folks coming to you with those concerns, that you are correcting them and sharing that proper information out there. And I'm sure City Manager Hess could provide any talking points or follow-up information to assure folks of that there will be no retaliation. And I will mention it would also be illegal to do so, nor would I. The other thing I would mention is that you are correct. I was new to Burbank when I ran and successfully won a seat on the Burbank City Council. What you omitted was my participation in the community for years prior to that. We have several property owners here in the room, and we often talk about we need tenants who are out there saving and buying into home ownership. That's exactly what Allie and I did. That's why we didn't live in Burbank, because we lived somewhere cheaper and we scrimped and saved, and now we own a home. So, what I will say is this. I will take my record over the last 3 years, the things that we have accomplished together, some of the things I hope to highlight tonight, and I will compare that to anyone. And I think that when you look at those 3 years, my dedication to this community shows through, and I'll leave it at that. With regards to Mr. Donahue, appreciate you coming today, sir, and I'm glad that we're continuing the dialogue, and I really appreciated the demeanor that you presented with, and I'm going to try to reciprocate with that, sir. So thank you. I will just say I have watched back the tape. I stand by everything I said at the last meeting. One thing that you did raise, though, is a fair question, and that is about conflicts of interest, and especially financial conflicts of interest under law. So here's what I will say. I'm not going to talk about my campaign for the same reason that I mentioned last week. It is not appropriate. But what I will say is that every elected public official and most appointed public officials in the state of California file an FPPC Form 700, which discloses all financial conflicts of interest, sources of income, rental property, gifts, all of that stuff. I have abided by that tradition going all the way back to 2016 with the California Department of Justice. I have consulted with the city attorney. There is no financial conflict of interest for me, and therefore I will not be recusing myself from the agenda item. And I will mention, folks, Form 700, that's a publicly available document. It's available for all 5 of us. Take a look at it. And the last thing I will say is to a caller, which was Claire. We have a saying in politics, and that is when you don't have dirt on someone, you make stuff up. So I guess that's where we're at, Claire. I am not leaving Burbank. Allie and I proudly own our home here. We are raising our kids here. This is our home. And I will simply say this about 2024. I am running for state assembly because I know it's how I can best serve my community. I'm not going to get into it any further than that. But win or lose, this is our home. We are sending our kids through BUSD schools, and we're not going anywhere. So again, folks can criticize. That's fair. This is why you're in the hot seat. But please stick to the truth. Hold me accountable for the things I've actually said and done rather than resorting to making things up. Thank you.
I do want to thank everyone for coming down. I do appreciate the Uber and Lyft drivers who showed up. It is a public meeting. They did take advantage of that opportunity. I'm proud to see members of the community get every chance they can to speak to their elected officials. And there was a good discussion out in the hallway. So thank you for coming down. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Your comments made me think. I realized tonight that I think this might be the record number of comments, so public comments we might have had at a reorg meeting. So I really appreciate everybody calling in, coming here, the emails we've received, the conversations in the community. What I love about this process today is a level of engagement. So regardless of how you feel about who gets chosen, or how we do the process, or who your favorite person is or least favorite person is, what I really love is that everybody in this room and who's called and emailed has engaged in this process. And this is a level I haven't seen before in interest in who's going to be vice mayor. So I'm excited about that. And I also am finding it quite comfortable to be the least controversial person on this council right now. So that feels good. But I also just want to say that whatever happens today, I have full and complete confidence that this council will go through the process. Some people will be happy, some people won't. But this will end up with a vice mayor and mayor, and then we will move on and do the work of the city that will continue to be positive work. And I have full confidence in our council for that. So just wanted to say that as we move forward, and that as soon as this is done, we're all going to be back together as a collaborative group, and no more even hint of controversy between us, and we will just move on and do the work. So thank you. Thank you for letting me say that, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely. Councilor Mullins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would like to thank everyone who emailed, who came down today and called. I do appreciate your comments, your feedback. It's all, to me, constructive criticism, if it was for or against. I appreciate your honesty and also the support or lack of. We're public servants. We sit up here, we listen to all of you, and we have to stay positive and neutral to perceive feedback. And I am very confident as well that we're going to go through this process and come out at the end of the day to serve our community the best that we can. So thank you all. Stay tuned. We're going to be taking votes after the process here. And I appreciate you coming this morning. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yes, Councilor Perez.
I also want to thank everybody for taking the time out of your day to join us. It is 11:16 in the morning. So thank you for being here early. I appreciate folks who called in as well. We know it's taking time out of your day. I want to thank you for making your voices heard. And I will say, Councilmember Takahashi, I'm okay being controversial for the way I look and for who I am, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm grateful for folks coming in and sharing their voices and expressing their support for diversity in our community in every single form. And I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. I think this is the most diverse council we have had, and I look forward to progress in our city. I know it is as the city attorney mentioned, not an established tradition. It's a very informal tradition, but I look forward to the mayoral and vice mayoral rotations and to keeping the peace in our council. Thank you, everybody.
I want to address one quick thing. Ms. Halagar, you are absolutely correct. Our electoral system in this country has a long history of patriarchy and white supremacy ingrained into its system. It is hard to extract that. In 2020, there is no doubt in my mind that both Mr. Schultz and myself benefited from that system. You cannot deny that. You cannot. That same year, a historic number of women were running for city council. When myself and Mr. Schultz were elected, over 3 women, I am proud to say that we spent the next 2 years trying to create space for other people to get elected, to make room for others who had not been represented in this council. The very next election cycle, every single candidate identified as a woman, and a majority of them were women of color. I don't know what changed. I can't put a pin in the work that we did. But I spent a lot of time with the man to my right, talking about what we can do next, who we can lift up, and the work that we do in this chamber, as well as out there in the city, reflects those values. And it may not be today, but someday soon, we will make that room, and we'll step aside, because that is progress. And I'm committed to that. And I know he is too. And lastly, Mr. Schlossman, if you could tell me who you spoke to at San Francisco State, I'd love to get my student loan refund back, please. All right, we're moving on. I would like to take this next opportunity to thank our elected officials, our executive team, our key staff for all of their hard work. And I'm going to present them with a small token of appreciation. So give me 1 second. So this is a ceremonial day, and we're going to go through a little bit of pomp and circumstance, and it's going to be fun. First off, I just want to say, the 5 of us that sit up there, technically it's a part-time job, right? We're not supposed to be doing this full-time, although some of us take it upon ourselves to do extra. But there are people in this city government who work not just full-time, overtime. And so we're going to go through some of those folks right now who keep the city running, who keep us running. And so first off, I want to welcome our duly elected city clerk, Kimberly Clark. Give a round of applause. Kimberly, as the city clerk, you ensure public participation and transparency in the city's decision-making process. This year, your office successfully launched a public records portal to make digitized records accessible to staff and the public. And during your first year as city clerk, you have increased outreach to the community's youth with presentations to the students in the NAF Academy on the importance of voting. In addition, you have continued the tradition of the Clerk's Cup, which this year resulted in a record-setting number of 166 new voter registrations among the city's 16, 17, and 18-year-olds. Congratulations on a successful first year as city clerk. Can we give a list of what's in the gift bag just so people know? It's I don't want people to.
It is a gift card to Flappers.
It's a what is it?
Gift card to Flappers.
Flappers Comedy Club.
Local comedy club. A little glass, some little posters, some little goodies.
Okay, great. But mostly it's Flappers. All right. Love Flappers. All right, up next, our duly elected city treasurer, Crystal Palmer. Oh, there she is. How are you? As our city treasurer, you serve as the banker and custodian of taxpayer dollars for the city of Burbank. Under your leadership, Burbank's portfolio has grown from $427 million in 2019 to $535 million today, including ESG investments that benefit Burbank residents, schools, and businesses. You are committed to advancing financial literacy and industry education, and you were recently appointed to the executive board of the California Municipal Treasurers Association. Thank you, Ms. Palmer, for safeguarding our public funds. Chief Albanese, our police chief. Chief Albanese, you consistently deliver high-quality public safety services to our community, and we appreciate your continued emphasis on ensuring rapid response times. Your outstanding leadership and dedication to public safety contribute greatly to the well-being of our community. Thank you for your tireless efforts and commitment to keeping our community safe, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I do want to remind folks, since you got the position, response times have gotten faster. Is that correct?
They have, but I can't take credit for it. We have a great staff. Our folks are mission-driven, very energized. We're very unified, so I'm very fortunate to be in this position. But the answer is yes.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Alvarez. Chief Alvarez. We are so fortunate to have you return to your Burbank family this year. The fire department continues to keep our community safe by conducting vital fire prevention activities, such as performing brush, property, and hazards inspections. Your team is on the front line of our community's emergency response, and we appreciate all that you do. And this is just the first of many reorgs, so get ready. We just got him back. He's doing great. Jennifer Becker, Financial Services Director. Oh, she's not here today. Okay, well, all right, she's here in spirit. And our Financial Services Director, Jennifer, was unfortunately it's in my notes. I should have read the notes. I never read ahead, never read ahead. She's not able to make it. Nevertheless, I wanted to thank her for her hard work. She oversaw the city's budget process, as well as our annual audit and financial report. Over the past year, Jennifer helped strengthen the city's financial position by implementing a new multi-year plan to pay down our pension liabilities. That was a big one. Completing the citywide user fee study and making sure our city's reserves remain fully funded. Burbank is fortunate to project a balanced general fund budget for the next several years. I'm going to repeat that, a balanced general fund budget for the next several years. And we look forward to more positive reports from Jennifer and her team regarding our city's financial future. Give her a round of applause. Public Works Director Ken Berkman. All right. You oversee the department that is critical in our everyday lives, from streets and sidewalks to sewers and traffic safety, solid waste collections and city buildings, along with all the other infrastructure that keeps us moving, healthy, and safe each day. Your leadership has been impactful. The partnerships you have forged for Public Works with the Infrastructure Oversight Board and fellow departments have helped make sure Burbank's civic and civil assets are operated, maintained, and improved in the most efficient and effective manner possible. Thank you for your work. Parks and Recs Director, Marissa Garcia. As our Parks and Recs Director, we thank you for your dedication and enthusiasm in serving the residents of Burbank. You lead a large and diverse operation that positively impacts the lives of all community members. In addition to providing the recreation programs and events loved by our community, this year you launched a community arts grant program to support local artists and arts organizations, implemented a new low-cost dog and cat vaccine at the Burbank Animal Shelter, renovated and enhanced the playgrounds at Valley and Overham Parks, adopted a youth athlete inclusion and gender equity policy, and secured $1.5 million in grant funding for the renovation of the McCambridge Pool. The list goes on. Thank you for everything. Library Services Director, Elizabeth Goldman. As Library Services Director, you lead 3 libraries that are essential to the fabric of our community. Our libraries provide resources and services to people of all ages, supporting learners, job seekers, and people looking for connection to services and their community. This year, you continue to lead efforts to build a new central library as part of the Burbank Civic Center project, and were recently awarded $10 million in grant funding for the new central library. $10 million, I'm going to repeat that, $10 million for the new central library. You launched the first cohort of the Job Connect Plus, a grant-funded program for job seekers, obtained new grant funding for ESL training, and strengthened partnerships with schools and nonprofits. Thank you to your talented team and for your dedication to our community. Thank you. Our Chief Information Officer, Kevin Gray. Kevin, as the city's Chief Information Officer, you have been recognized with 4 awards in 2023. 4. These include awards for your transformational efforts in local government IT and your contributions to government IT statewide and nationally. This year, your team further expanded the services offered by our Burbank 311 app and delivered a host of additional technology solutions that enable staff to do more for our residents and businesses. IT continues to be a trusted partner in all key city aspects of operations, and your innovation continues to help us better serve our community. And I get to email him all the fishy scams and say, "What's this?" It's fun. It's fun. Thank you, Kevin. Should I click on this link? He goes, no. Public Information Officer, Jonathan Jones. Jonathan, you oversee the Public Information Office and collaborate with all the city departments to educate, inform, and communicate the Burbank happenings and programs with our residents, businesses, and visitors. This year, with your guidance, your team produced 4 incredible mayor's shows. I had a blast and blew out my knee in one of them. That featured the YMCA's Social Impact Center, the Flappers Comedy Club and Restaurant, the Burbank Multiverse, and Coco Atama, better known as the Blind Thrasher skateboarder for his incredible skateboarding talents. I'll let you guess which of those four I hurt my knee on. It's not in my script, but I had a absolute blast with you this year. You are very fun to work with.
We had a blast with you too, Mayor. Thank you.
He would like text me, "Hey, look at the thing. Do you want to do this thing?" I'm like, yes, let's do that thing. It was great. Don Roth Lindell, BWP General Manager. As the Burbank Water and Power General Manager for just over 3 years, your work has been impressive. With your leadership, BWP has received over $2 million in grants from state and federal sources and has been recognized as a sustainability leader. You paved the way, further developing the transportation electrification efforts, and played a pivotal role in BWP's water asset management efforts. BWP updated its integrated resources plan with an actionable path to a sustainable energy future, with both local and utility scale contracts for carbon-free resources and innovative battery storage. Your dedication, energy, and positive attitude help provide sustainable, reliable, and affordable water and electric services to our city. And I just want to say, on a personal note, the things that is happening in every city across the country with regards to climate change, with regards to environment, the things that every American is clamoring for, Ms. Lindell and her team are putting into action here in Burbank. It is incredible to see the work that you're doing, and I'm so proud to have you on the team and all the work that you do. So thank you. Betsy McClinton, Management Services Director. You oversee the city's employment services, labor relations, and workers' compensation programs. You have led the charge to successfully implement council's policy to provide competitive, market-based compensation so that the city can recruit and retain excellent employees in this challenging labor market. Your hard work has contributed to the safety of the employees, the financial stability of the city, and good relations with the city's labor groups. You have done a really great job, and thank you for telling me to wear my mask today. I appreciate it. Courtney Paget, Assistant City Manager. We just appointed her. Again, this is going to be first of many. New incoming Assistant City Manager, Courtney Paget. Ms. Paget, the council extends a warm and enthusiastic welcome to you. We are confident your leadership will enhance the collaborative spirit that defines our city and contribute to its continued growth and prosperity. We look forward to working with you. I mean, we've worked with her before. We know her, so she's going to do great. We already know, so I appreciate it. Community Development Director, Patrick Prescott. Patrick, you manage a team that handles planning, transportation, housing, economic development, homeless services, business licenses, and the list goes on and on. Thank you for all your hard work helping the city navigate the recent housing legislation and for supporting our businesses and residents through the city's economic recovery plan, the CDBG grant programs for businesses and for tenants, and our Burbank nonprofits, and the streamlined online permit and plan check process. Under your leadership, your team has demonstrated their extraordinary ability to be nimble and pivot from one priority to another. I appreciate your team's commitment to building a beautiful and thriving neighborhood. And if you didn't notice it, the moment we had some individuals come in with complaints at the beginning of this meeting, Patrick stepped outside and have a conversation with them. You don't get that from a lot of cities. Just the ability to take charge and say, what's going on? Let's have a talk and let's work through this. So your ability to do the outreach and to have those tough conversations, I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I say that because if I have a problem, I just send them to Patrick. So he does great. Our retiring Assistant City Manager, Judy Wilkie. Judy, this is officially your last council meeting. We cannot thank you enough for all the support you have provided to the city manager and the city council offices, starting from your role early on as an administrative analyst many years ago. It has been said several times over the past few weeks, but thank you for your leadership and dedication to the city of Burbank for 32 years. We're all going to miss you. I have had an amazing time talking with you about the way the city works. When I first started running for city council, I would have conversations with Ron Davis, and it would be very quick because I'd pull him aside, like, how does this do? And he goes, okay, no, I'll talk later. But this last year, having Judy present, her knowledge and her grasp of governance at the city level has been key. We have had a lot of challenges this year. A lot. So thank you. City Attorney Joseph McDougall. You and your team have done an excellent job this past year, vigorously defending the city in all types of litigation, maintaining high community standards through prosecution of local crimes, and assisting every city department implement all manner of services and projects. Thank you for your efforts to protect the city and deliver valuable programs. We look forward to your continued leadership of the city's legal team. I am going to go off script a little bit. I was in the room when we chose Mr. McDougall for the job. He has done exemplary service. I say all the time, if he hadn't already lost his hair, I definitely would have made him lose it. I do challenge him in ways I don't know if he's had before, but it has been an amazing year, and thank you for all of the work and all of your help getting through this very tough year. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right, Mr. City Manager Justin Hess, come on up. You are the top executive overseeing the day-to-day administration and operation of our remarkable city. Your leadership has been outstanding. At the beginning of the year, when the council provided you with 6 themes to concentrate on, you responded with an impressive list of 86 goals, showcasing remarkable initiative. Your continued dedication and skillful management have been instrumental in achieving these goals, contributing significantly to what makes Burbank such a special place. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to excellence in leading the city team. And the work that you do, it creates it trickles down to every single department. There has been a marked change when you took leadership, and I have seen it in every department. I have seen it in the workers of the city, the successes that we've had. You lead a team as a leader should, and it is exemplary to watch you work every day. So thank you. Now we're going to get into the team that makes me look good. The Senior Administrative Analyst, Viviana Garzon. Come on up. So the next few people I'm going to talk about, they help the council, they help with the meetings, they basically create all of this public forum and have that bridge between the citizens and their government, and you do a really great job. Viviana, this is also your last official council meeting in your current role. I know you're moving on, but we have enjoyed working with you over the past year and appreciate your positive attitude in every situation. Your contributions to the city manager's office have been immensely valuable over the years. We commend your dedicated efforts with the Domestic Violence Task Force and the Charter Review Committee. We wish you the very best in your new role as police administrator, and we know this is not goodbye. We're going to see you all the time, so thank you for all the work that you do and for answering my texts at the oddest hours of the day of what am I going to do, or how does this work, or hey, did you forget your script? And yes, I did, absolutely. She knows me. Well, thank you so much. Kylene Aquino, Administrative Analyst. Kylene, in your role as Administrative Analyst at the City Manager's Office, you play a key role in supporting the agenda process. The work you do behind the scenes, leading up to and after the council meetings, is so valuable, and your work does not go unnoticed. You have taken the lead on the council presentations and the announcements, and they have been great. Your dedication, your attention to detail, and commitment have been essential in ensuring the smooth operation of our council meetings. So thank you so much for coming on board and doing all that work. I guess that's it. That's nobody else. There's, oh, I'm sorry.
Awkward moment. Required awkward moment.
Come here. So I'm going to embarrass her a bit. Sandy George, our executive assistant to the mayor, vice mayor, and city council members. I'm not even going to read off of this script right here. The five of us, we can't do a thing without Sandy. And I'm not even like pretending that that's not even true. It is ridiculous how much success the five members of council have because of the work that Sandy George does. Fielding calls, answering emails, coordinating schedules. I have a middle schooler, and there have been some hard times coming to the city executive office this last year. Phone calls, emails, very difficult words and statements. The five of us saw some of it. Sandy saw all of it. And her job is to deal with it. It is not an easy job. There's no way I made her life easier this year. For those of you who are not aware, last year I was diagnosed autistic, and Sandy has created accommodations that I didn't even know existed. She has done things for me and set up my office and my job and my ability to function in this government in a way I never thought was possible. So all of this showcase of success that we've had, thank you.
You're welcome.
She gets to pick out her own gift, so that was great. She got all of it. I want to thank the city staff for their exceptional hard work and their unwavering dedication to the Burbank community. Your passion and your energy are inspiring. Thank you sincerely. Before I go up and talk to my council members, there is one other person who has really supported me this year behind the scenes. In a way that I can't even put it into words. She's been my rock and has helped me immensely.
Well, it's not fair because I'm already crying from the Sandy speech. Sandy, we love you so much. I can't even... And I didn't bring tissues, so if anyone has some.
My wife, Margot, has been incredible this year, and my confidant, my trusted advisor, and just pushing me along because she believes in me and knows that what we're trying to do is hopefully the right thing. So it's it has been a year. I tell people all the time, this has been the longest year of my life. But I wouldn't have gone through it with anybody else but you. Thank you. Also, I got you tickets to Flappers. Who you gonna take? Okay, all right. Some other important people in the room, and I would like to give them a thank you as well. Yeah, here we go. Thank you. Council members, I have gifted each of you a picture of the five of us. It was taken on our first day of last year's reorg, the new council. So if you could all see that, that's the photo we've gifted everybody. So all four of my council members are going to get a copy of this. It should be in your office right now. In addition, we've also got, I mean, Flappers is very generous. They give gifts to everybody. So
I was actually looking for that bag.
And we'll be happy to disclose that on the Form 700, right, Mayor?
Absolutely.
Under $50.
So swap those. That was yours. That was yours. Yeah. And if you'd like, I would like to give each of you the opportunity to mention who you have here in the room, just so we have a head count. So, Councilor Mullins, do you have folks that you brought with you today?
I have folks that I brought, the most important man in my life and the one that keeps me going every single day and always very, very supportive of everything I do. That would be my husband, Michael Mullins, and he's sitting right there in the audience, and I do have something for him that I want to take down.
Absolutely. Councilmember Takahashi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, I have the pleasure of having my husband in the audience, Yoshi. He's sitting next to Councilmember Mullins' husband. And so, yeah, round of applause for my husband. It's not easy to have such an extroverted partner, I think, when one is not as extroverted. So I really appreciate my husband's presence in my life and the sounding board and listening a lot. I appreciate that. He helped keep me grounded through a lot of the tough, difficult moments, and also doing this while going to grad school at the same time. So you've heard about both of those things, as well as having 3 adult children that we also have all that juggling. So then been lots of ups and downs together, and so appreciate it. I don't have flowers today, but I am going to take my husband to a Kings game on Wednesday to play the Kraken. So that's my thank you for all the hard work and we're going to win, right? Yeah, okay. And that's my thank you for. It's barely enough to thank you because it's just so much more to thank you for all the support you've given me during the year. So thank you. Your heart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Latina, so I have a huge family, and today you get a portion of that family here today. I'm very happy to have my parents, my mom and my dad here, who are the reason I am in Burbank, and thank you for bringing me here and making sure that we set up roots. And my brother, who's here, I'm happy to have, and my partner, Blake. You all are my rock all the time. You're my sounding board, and I know that the public image that now you all have is not something you all signed up for. So thank you for bearing with me and for having folks call you Nikki's mom and dad at the store. I appreciate you all very much. I'm so grateful for everything you do for me, and you make me the person I am. So thank you for all of that. And I do want to say I have a very special guest visiting right now, my grandmother, who is here from Central America this week. I just want to highlight her. She is a matriarch to my family and on a long line of strong women. And she's someone whose strength, whose love, and whose unwavering faith in God in the face of adversity I admire so deeply. And so today I would like to present her with some flowers and embarrass her a little bit. But first, because she does not speak English, Abuelita, hoy te quiero presentar con unas flores como un símbolo de mi agradecimiento por tu apoyo. Gracias por siempre ser el ejemplo de fortaleza, de amor y de fe constante en esta familia. Te quiero mucho.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I want to begin by recognizing some loved ones who are in the audience, and then there's a few who couldn't make it, and I'll explain why. But I want to mention that I'm very happy here to have, of course, my beautiful wife, Allie. I love you, sweetheart. And I know that if lucky enough to be selected, you're going to be a fabulous first lady for our community. And the real power behind the brains. She comes up with all the good ideas. I'm also really honored to be joined by my mother-in-law Kim and my father-in-law Steve. Thank you both so much for being here. And, they're watching from home, but my grandmother, who is 88, had a stroke this past week. She wasn't able to be here, but she's watching. Grandma, I love you. To my mom, to my brother, who also can't be here, I love you guys, too. And before I get off the dais for a second, Mr. Mayor, I just really want to echo, being a public servant, you take your punches. That's just part of the game. That's what you sign up for. But it is really the family that is your backbone, your North Star. And so just to my family here and to my family watching, just know that I love you and I so appreciate you. And I do all of this for two final people that I am not forgetting, Allie, our amazing kids, Ella and Aiden, who are in daycare because they would not be doing well. It's nap time. But I will just say this. People ask why I do this in the first place, why I ran, why I serve. I am doing it for them and for every future generation of Burbankian to make sure that they have a good place to live. That's why I'm in this fight, and I think we all are too. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'd love to go down and present my wife with some flowers.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Mother-in-law's always got that camera.
That's right. Now, I believe the Vice Mayor, you're going to take over from here.
Well, not exactly, Mr. Mayor, but I do have something very important to say. On behalf of the entire Burbank City Council, I want to present you with this ceremonial gavel commemorating your year as our mayor. So, Mayor Anthony, I'm going to hand this over to you. And I do want to just say a couple quick words before I invite my colleagues to do the same. I was talking with, first of all, everyone take a nice look at that. That's the prize for being mayor. No, but what I will say, Mayor Anthony, is this. I was talking to David Laurel, Burbank leader, former mayor, and he mentioned to me that there's only about 22, or maybe now with you, 23 living former mayors of the city of Burbank. It's a very small class of people who have had the privilege and the obligation of leading a community during good times, during difficult times. And I just want to say one thing. I've served with this guy for 3 years now. Perfection is not the name of the game, but to be a mayor is to be the figurehead, the leader for a community, to try to unite people. And no one's going to do the job perfectly. But I want to mention one thing about you, sir. When I ran in 2020, a lot of folks, including folks in this room, were not open to my run. Were not willing to hear me out or really even ask, why do you want to do it? You've approached this job in the same way you approached it then. You've always been collaborative. You've had an open heart. Your empathy is exemplary. You lead with your heart. And I just hope that, whoever is following you in this act, we can disagree on policy, we can disagree on approach, but I hope that they have half the heart that you have had, because you lead with empathy. And that is probably the signature characteristic trait of your mayorship that I so deeply admire and so appreciate. So, Mayor Anthony, thank you on behalf of the community for your service. And now I would like to invite my colleagues to say just a couple of words. We'll start with Council Member Mullins.
I saw my name on the list first, and I'm like, why are you doing this? No. So, Mr. Mayor, wipe your tears. You talked a lot. I don't have a prepared speech, but I'm just going to speak from the heart. You talked about this year, this 23 being a difficult year for you and the entire council. So you definitely made it very exciting for all of us with that compromise to really all the events that have taken place during this 2023. You kept our council meetings alive with lots of speakers and lots of emails. So I think it would have been a little bit more boring if we didn't have all the excitement you submitted for us. So I do thank you for that, seriously. But most of all, I do thank you because no matter what was said on the dais, no matter of how many residents showed up and spoke or phone calls, I really appreciate that you kept your cool. You were always very composed. You're always still smiled. And I think that's a very good trait to have, because it's not easy sitting where you're sitting and having to hear all the, things that we hear as council members or as the mayor, especially with a difficult year. But you did take it with grace. And the other thing that I do want to say I appreciate you for is the respect you allowed each one of us, and I speak for myself, that no matter what was said and what was done up here on the dais by your own colleagues, including myself, that was critical of you of some situations, you always demonstrated a leadership within you that were respectful towards us, and always allowed the opportunity to weigh in and speak, and never demonstrated any immaturity or hate or resentments toward what was said on the dais. So for that, I really appreciate that, because it does take a lot of skills and it takes a lot of grace to do what you've did. So I know it hasn't been difficult. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but I think we went through it, and I do appreciate that you remained really cool and you took everything with grace. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Councilmember Takahashi.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Mayor, first of all, thank you for this year of leadership. You made it through. You got to today. Good job. It has been, one could say, a roller coaster ride. It has been interesting. And one of the things you said during one of our difficult meetings was how you were learning from this situation. And before I say the other things, I want to just say that I really appreciate you saying that you have learned a lot this year and you have embraced that growth. And so the comments I'm going to make next are what I learned from you. Okay. So I've learned from you that no matter what people say or how they come to present to us at council, that's always important to be respectful and kind, and to always recognize that we are in a position of authority, and that it's important to never, punch down or say anything negative about folks, and to be, even if you're standing up for what you believe in, you still are being fair and respectful. And I saw that in you through this year. I also really enjoy how, no matter what's going on, you can turn on the fun. And it can be such a serious position up here. It can be so much heavy things, and you're able to consistently maintain that lightness and humanity and fun and realness on council. And I feel that every time I come to a meeting, is that whatever's on the docket before we start, that lightness is between the five of us, and that you being the leader of that lightness, I think, is for me what I'm learning. It's so important for anybody who steps into your role for us, because it can get so heavy. You actually kind of remind me a little bit of a previous mayor, Roy Rogers, and his lightness and how he always brought humor in. Also, I really have watched and learned from your presentation style. Being in front all the time and being kind of the lights on you, it's tough. And so learning how you have presented yourself to the community, how you've always been gracious and thoughtful, and you have individual comments for each person that comes up, and you see them. I think that's just really important to learn from. Oh, Will Rogers, not Roy Rogers, sorry. It's my bad. And thank you. And then also, one of the things that I also learned from you is that, you and I don't always agree. Sometimes we do. I think it's like a Venn diagram's pretty even. But whatever it is that you believe, I know it. Like, it's really clear. Like, you never waver from your values, never waver from your beliefs, and you stand up for them regardless of what's going on, and you stay consistent that way. And that I really laud folks who are in leadership who can stay the course, even if it's going to be, you're going to get, flack for it. So I really appreciate that for you, and I've learned from that as well. So thank you for all you've done this year, and thank you for helping me learn to be a better leader in all of the craziness, ups and downs, and the roller coaster, and for all that you've done for the city.
And lastly, we'll hear from Councilmember Perez.
Mr. Mayor, what a year to remember. I think this is such an interesting time, because we often, as elected officials, there's a lot criticism we receive and criticism we give each other, and constructive and feedback, and you and I have very different ways of tackling the role of elected office. And we often get to talk about that and get into debates about that, but we never get to talk about the things we learn from one another and we appreciate from one another. So I'm really grateful for this moment. And there are two very specific things that I've learned from you and that I really appreciate. And the first one is your openness with an ability to learn and grow. You are open to hearing everything, and you can change your mind based on what you hear, and you do it in such an unapologetic way in front of everyone, and I think that's amazing. And the other one is your unparalleled ability to be a presenter. You have brought so much personality to the role of mayor. You have made each council meeting lively and a welcoming experience. You have taken tense moments and gotten a laugh out of the entire room, including all of us. And quite frankly, I think it was the light and enthusiasm that our city needed. And I hope that it sets a precedent for every mayor to come after this, so that this dais, this room, is a place of warmth. And as our vice mayor mentioned, you lead with love. And I think that's really important. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your year of service, and take it easy.
Mr. City Manager, I believe you have a video that you want to play. You have comments and a video.
I have something for sure.
Okay. That's all it says in my. I don't know what it is.
A couple minutes here. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's tradition for the city manager to present the outgoing mayor with a book of memories. And this album here that you could also work out with because it's quite heavy is a visual journey through your year as mayor. So if we can, let's take a moment to reflect on some of your highlights through this slideshow. Your term began with council's strong commitment to affordable housing and economic development, along with your pursuit of making Burbank a welcoming city for everyone. Under your guidance, this council discussed and implemented several measures to ensure a high quality of life for its residents. Based on council's actions throughout the year, it was clear that council was committed to making sure the city continued to deliver outstanding municipal services, maintain reliable infrastructure, champion sustainability, and continue to stimulate economic growth. You've been a vocal advocate for emerging talents in Burbank while also championing the rights and inclusion of diverse groups. I must also mention your great job in presenting the proclamations and recognitions. You have a natural ability for that, so thank you. During your term, our city has garnered substantial funding from state leaders, such as aiding vital renovations at the McCambridge Pool and enhancing our adaptive sports programs for community enjoyment. Moreover, we had great success securing a significant grant to pave the way for a new central library. A highlight of your term was declaring September 24th as Tim Burton Day, which further defined our great city as the media capital of the world. Your invitation to envision a Burbank multiverse as part of your last mayor show has inspired us to dream of boundless possibilities. We trust that this photo album will serve as a cherished reminder of your time as mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And for those of you watching, I'm wearing the same outfit I wore on my first day as mayor. So just for the keen eye. We do have some other federal, state, and county elected officials here, and so I'd like to bring them up to the podium. First up, we have State Assembly Member Laura Friedman for the 44th District. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Friedman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for my voice. I've had the virus known as not COVID for about a week and a half. It's gone now, but it's lingering effects. I am here to congratulate all of you on this last year, and particularly Mayor Constantine Anthony on your leadership. I agree with all of the praise that you've received from your colleagues. I will add that you have conducted the meetings of this council with a professionalism that is truly admirable. You have responded to quite a bit of vitriol in a way that has helped to de-escalate situations, and you always respond with thoughtfulness and with empathy, and I really admire that. I do want to bring up a few of the city's wins this year that happened under your leadership, because I do believe in the end that your role as mayor will be judged in the tangible accomplishments that Burbank has had over the last year. And I do think that it bears repeating them and reminding people that this council, even though it's been a difficult few years, has not been idle. You have been actively addressing a lot of the challenges that residents are facing in Burbank. So if you'll give me just a minute to just run through a few of these. First, the Parks and Rec Department partnered with the Triumph Foundation, launching wheelchaired rugby, an adaptive sports program focusing on enriching the mental wellness and self-esteem of those with disabilities. And you being the first diagnosed autistic mayor in the nation is maybe a reason why those particular activities are something that's been a focus under your leadership. CDD worked to secure new distribution of 60 new emergency housing vouchers for our unhoused population, approved 192 ADUs throughout the city, and funded new ADUs with the Burbank Housing Corporation, which are dedicated to low-income Burbank residents. The City Council has implemented the Burbank Tenant Protection Ordinance, the first of its kind in our city, to reinforce stricter requirements for property owners when initiating just cause evictions related to property demolitions or substantial remodeling. And I know that's been a real focus of yours for the past several years. The City Council directed BWP to launch the Burbank Utility Services Subsidy Program, or BUS, is that how you pronounce it? BUS for short, a financial service providing relief to struggling households. Thanks to this program, BWP has distributed over $50,000 of assistance to 746 Burbank households. And lastly, the Financial Services Department implemented a new 2-year pension funding plan, which will result in savings of $1.5 million annually. And at a time when I know that sometimes people who are progressive on the political scale are criticized, you have not only saved the city money through your leadership, but you have delivered a balanced budget. And that's something that we should all keep in mind, that this is a fiscally responsible city in terms of its governance, and that's never been at all at odds with your leadership. So I want to thank you for that and for being a great friend to the people of Burbank. Being mayor is a largely ceremonial position, although you do get to run these meetings, which is a lot of work, I know from experience. The other thing that you've done is you've really embraced the concept of the mayor being visible and being around the city. And I go to a lot of events in Burbank, and I can't remember one event that I haven't seen you at. So unless you've got a couple of twin brothers, the city has been getting its money out of you. Certainly, you have taken this responsibility very, very seriously and put your entire being into it. And I know I'm not going to get, and I have a certificate, and I'm going to ask you to come down and accept it. While you do that, because I'm not going to have another chance to come back up and speak, of course, I don't know who is going to be appointed the next mayor and vice mayor, but I do want to congratulate whoever comes in. Assuming that the city follows its traditional rotation, I'm assuming that Vice Mayor Schultz will become the mayor, and I look forward to seeing everything that you're going to accomplish. You've certainly demonstrated through your vice mayorship the ability to run meetings, to represent the people of Burbank, and I think that your leadership is going to be very well received throughout the city. And assuming that Nikki Perez becomes the vice mayor, I look forward to having the voices of younger voters represented on this council, of having the Latino and Latina, very large population, have representation. And when I'm out talking to people, the biggest issue that I hear is about homelessness and housing. And you are someone that brings many, many years of professional experience helping the homeless population. And that is an experience that will be extremely important, assuming that you fulfill this role as vice mayor. So whoever ends up in that rotation, I wish you all congratulations and all good luck. And Mayor Anthony, I have this for you. You got to give these out a lot. I get to give one to you.
I do give a lot of those out. Sandy knows. Sandy makes them. I want to welcome up Natalie Vartanian, Field Deputy for LA County Supervisor, Catherine Barger.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm happy to be here today on behalf of Supervisor Barger. She really wanted me to thank your year of service, Mayor, and everything that this great city continues to do. I know it was mentioned a couple times, the amazing adaptive sports programs and the wheelchair rugby and the power chair soccer, which Supervisor Barger was happy to support thanks to the council's advocacy, and she supported through a $40,000 grant going towards those programs. And I know that she really wanted me to thank Burbank for setting that example for the entire county, which LA County is exploring on expanding their adaptive sports programs. We work with your amazing team on homelessness combating homelessness. You're amazing, amazing public safety partners right here. I just want to thank the city for everything that you do. And with that, I also have a certificate of commendation for Mayor Constantine Anthony. Congratulations.
Please thank the supervisor for that grant. It helped a lot. And I believe,
Mayor, do you want me to help you here?
just yeah, if you want to read it off.
Sure. Programming note, State Senator Anthony Portantino was not able to be with us today, but he did send a certificate of acknowledgement to Mayor Anthony, so thank you, Senator Portantino. And yes, give it up for Senator Portantino. And I do believe we have one other elected official in the room. We have Glendale Mayor Dan Brotman, if Mayor Brotman would like to say anything.
Of course, how could I not? I had no idea it would be, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm still waiting to see who becomes mayor and vice mayor. But I've stuck it out because I'm very proud of all of you, and I'm very impressed with the leadership that you apply to the issues in the city of Burbank. We have a lot in common, right? We are joined at the hip, literally. And a lot of the things I know you're working on, we're working on, the environmental issues, trying to get to 100% clean energy and the electrification and the adaptation, and all the issues around housing equity, transportation equity, and of course, crime and speeding, because the speeders don't care what part of Glen Oaks they're flying down, right?
That's right.
So we are so connected. And that's why it's really important to me that we maintain strong, close working relations. And I'm happy to say I know all of you, and we talk, and we serve on some boards together, and it's just really great that we can be partners like this. And then on being mayor, because I'm now 9 months into my term, and it is pretty thankless. You have no more authority than anybody else on council. And that's saying a lot, because on council, you don't really have much authority to begin with. But you have no more authority, but there are these very high expectations that you can fix everything. So the arrows get lobbed at you. And I have to say, I'm extremely impressed with the way all of you handle the vitriol that comes down the pike. We get it too in Glendale. I thought for some reason maybe you didn't, but now I see that it's basically the same thing. But you are really classy in how you respond to that. You do a better job than I do, and I need to learn from you. So congratulations. Great to be here, and I look forward to working together.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. If there are any other elected officials, I do see, is the assessor's office in town? No. Oh, yeah. Oh, hello. Yes. From the back of the room. I also see our superintendent of schools here, so I may bring him up.
Good morning. Just to prevent any confusion, I am not Jeff Prang.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm here on the behalf of the LA County Assessor, Jeffrey Prang, who I have the honor to work for. And I'm here on his behalf to say thank you for your work and the work you've done for the community and being part of this council. I want to keep it short and sweet, so if you could come down and receive this from us. So thank you for all your work.
Hey, Mayor, I'll give you another assist here, just in case. Does the superintendent of Burbank Unified School District want to come up and say anything?
I don't have a certificate for you today.
That's all right. You've done enough.
I
Thank
apologize. What I do want to say is that I have always had tremendous respect for this city. I love Burbank. My son went to school in Burbank. And the relationship that the city and the school district has is so important, and we are so committed to being supportive with you and to be a team. We're serving the same kids and we have the same goals. And I look forward to working with all of you and continued support and working together to do good things for kids. Appreciate your service.
It is an interesting position to hold mayor and have a kid in Burbank Unified Schools, because when I show up on their campuses, I don't have any authority, but I really, really want to help them and do stuff, and we do it through our collaboration, and that's important. All right, now is the time prescribed in the city charter for the reorganization of the city council. You know, this has been an interesting year. We were hit with the longest strike in television and film history, and the economy in this city took a hit like I have never seen before. What we learned from COVID, we put into action. We put into action. And the people on this dais did that work, and it was incredible to see. So I would like a motion for the selection of mayor, and then after that we'll move on to vice mayor. Is there a motion to select?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Vice Mayor Schultz. I tried to do it once before. This is my second time. To succeed you as the mayor for 2024.
Second.
You have the opportunity to refuse.
I think the community will have my head. Thank you both. I gladly accept the nomination.
Before we go to a vote, we could have a short discussion, and I will just say one thing. In those 6 months of uncertainty, of economic fragility, Vice Mayor, I saw you out there a number of times talking to people. I saw you working with the community, supporting a move towards success. And I know what happened between the unions and the studios was a bigger part of the larger economy. But I had you by my side to lean on, to depend on, to talk to. And it gave our community hope. Gave our community hope. I wish there were more elected officials who had showed up. I wish there were more elected officials who got involved in that historic strike. But I saw you out there, and I saw you talking to people. And you didn't have to. I'm a SAG-AFTRA member. I had to be out there, let's be honest. You didn't have to be there, but you did. And you showed up for the community in a way that really represented your values and your commitment to this city. I will happily be voting yes. Madam City Clerk, please conduct the vote.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Perez?
Yes.
Councilmember Takahashi?
Very yes.
Vice Mayor Schultz?
Yes.
And Mayor Anthony.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, sir. All right. Take care of that city for you. Well, gonna need. We should probably trade the water here. That's a pretty good idea. I'm not gonna be as funny as this guy, but I'll try to bring that dry wit. So, first of all, colleagues, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the motion, for the nominate, for the second, and for the chance to serve our community. I know it's getting late, folks, and I'll try to speed through it as quick as I can, but I've had a chance to sit on this council for 3 years, and there are some things that I think that should be said. So let me say at the outset, I'm incredibly honored and humbled to serve as the mayor for the city of Burbank for the 2023-2024 term. Now, over the last 3 years, I've spoken with many of our residents, heard and participated in countless conversations, and I've thought long and hard about the progress that we have made since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and our city's biggest challenges in the year ahead. As you know, I ran and was elected to the Burbank City Council in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. At the time, our city faced challenges of unprecedented size and severity. Businesses were shutting their doors for good. Many of our residents were out of work. Tenants were facing the possibility of eviction before many of the emergency measures that later came were put into effect. And importantly, our city had a structural recurring deficit forecasted with no end in sight. Now, in his acceptance speech in 2020, former Mayor Frutos called for a commitment to the fiscal health of our city and the implementation of strategies to restart our local economy from the pandemic. The following year, former Mayor Talamantes called for a renewed commitment to building back from the pandemic, but doing so in a way that unified the community, acknowledging the challenges that lie ahead, but finding those opportunities to build. And last year, Mayor Anthony, you emphasized the importance of doing that work together as a team, and we continued our work of recovery. Today, the state of the city is strong. We have made remarkable strides. Even in light of the pandemic, we have made new investments in new sectors of our economy, and we've set a very solid foundation for the future success of Burbank. I say all of that to say that in December of 2023, I feel that we can finally and safely say that Burbank has triumphed over the COVID-19 pandemic. We have successfully restarted our local economy, and we've built back. Our business community is thriving. Our city budget is balanced. And we continue to offer unrivaled city services to our residents. I mean, Glendale's pretty close there, Mr. Mayor, but I do love our city services. So what should our focus be in 2024? Here are my thoughts. We may have built back from the pandemic, but we're simply right back where we were before the pandemic started. And that's not good enough for the people of this region. The world's fourth largest economy continues to be riddled with inequities. Too many people continue to be left behind. Over the last 3 years, I've heard countless stories about residents who are living paycheck to paycheck. I've been that person, and I know many of you have too. The rising costs of rental housing are displacing longtime residents from our community. The dream of homeownership has never been further beyond reach for so many working people in Burbank. Wages remain largely stagnant and are outpaced by the very high costs of living. The point I'm trying to make is that we have to work diligently to build a more equitable and inclusive economy. That needs to be our number one goal. We have to, of course, continue to exercise financial responsibility and maintain that balanced budget that we have fought to achieve and to ensure its lasting value. But we also need to look at new partnerships to strengthen our standing as the media capital of the world. This is not the time to rest on our laurels. Now is the time to be innovative, to be exciting, to do things that other communities around California have not yet done. Now is the time to be bold. Because if you're not bold, you're stagnant. And if you're stagnant, you die. That's not an economy that we deserve. We truly need to be a regional and world leader. And all in doing that, continue to support the mom and pop small businesses and micro enterprises that are the backbone of our economy. In terms of job development and creation, we need to prioritize jobs that sustain our community. Jobs that provide a fair and livable wage, that come with benefits for healthcare and childcare. Jobs that support and grow individuals and families, because that's what Burbank is. We're a small community. Great, but bring jobs that sustain a family or a working person. And we have a lot of tools that we can look at in terms of making that happen, from tax incentives to amplified business recruitment efforts. We have to embrace and explore these possibilities. And in doing so, we also need to continue to streamline permitting processes and cut costs to make it easier than ever for business to thrive and to operate in the city of Burbank. I hope to work with our economic development team, Magnolia Park Merchants Association, Chamber of Commerce, and others to help lead that conversation in the coming year about how we can do things faster, more efficiently, and cheaper, and allow business to thrive. As we look towards 2024, we have to embrace that simply building back to where we were is never going to be enough. We have an obligation to build an economy where every Burbanker has the opportunity to find success and thrive. That is mission one, and it has to be our top priority. We also have to talk about housing. Burbank is in the midst of a housing crisis, and we desperately need to achieve this council's goal of adding 12,000 units of housing to the city of Burbank. In doing so, we should embrace that gentle density that Burbank so needs. But we also have to, and in the coming year, we're going to have the chance to chart the future growth of this city. We're going to be talking about the Golden State specific plan, the Downtown Burbank Transit-Oriented Development Specific Plan, and the Media District Specific Plan. That is the legacy project of the 2023-2024 Council. It's our opportunity to chart the growth of this community. And of course, we need to continue to talk about ways to streamline our entitlement process to get more units of housing faster, online, and available to our residents. And in doing so, we also have to understand that the creation of more home ownership opportunities it will take time. And in that time, we are at risk of losing folks that have long been part of this community and called it home. We have to seriously discuss and explore expanded tenant protections, relocation assistance, and legal services to ensure that we are not losing these residents from our community. And that is not contrary to the other goal of adding more units of housing. As the president says, we need to walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do both. We must do both. Our residents deserve it. Assemblymember Friedman talked about homelessness being another concern, and I agree. I hear it every single day that I walk this community. We've approved an ambitious homeless action plan. Now we need to fund it. Now we need to put it into action and make it happen. There is no excuse in one of the largest economies the world's ever seen, with wealth beyond imagine, that people are sleeping in their cars, that they are living in tents and parks. We have to do something about that. We need a safe place for people who are living in their car to be overnight, to have access to services. And yes, Mr. Mayor, I know we didn't get it done last term. We need to make a shelter in Burbank happen. That is a priority for me. And talking about climate change, and again, this concept of having set a solid foundation, we have adopted a very ambitious greenhouse gas reduction plan. We need to push to achieve 100% renewable energy, but we also have to be mindful of ensuring reliability and affordability of that service to our ratepayers. The difficulty in implementing the plan is going to be doing so in an expeditious and cost-effective manner. We're going to have to continue to make critical investments in Burbank Water and Power's infrastructure while being aggressive in procuring new renewable energy sources. We also, however, need to ensure that we're creating more opportunities for financial assistance for those households who will continue to struggle as rates increase so that we can achieve these aims. What we are doing, thanks in no large part no small part to the work of Don Roth Lindell and the Burbank Water and Power team, is phenomenal. And yet we are going to have to do more to help those families that are still struggling. It's also critical in my mind that we implement common sense measures to reduce our carbon footprint, whether that's a single-use plastics reduction policy, electrification ordinance for new construction, continuing our drought mitigation efforts, and investing in public transit and EV charging. Lastly, I want to talk about city services, and I want to do something a little unconventional. I want to direct my comments to our executive team and to our staff. We've recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic thanks to your diligence, your hard work, and your commitment to the people of Burbank. Words are not enough to express my gratitude to our city manager, our assistant city manager, the entire executive team, and every Burbank employee that moves this community forward, especially for your work over the last 3 years. But as we look towards the future, we have to be more visionary than ever. We are going to need unprecedented investments in police, fire, EMS, public works, utility, library, parks and rec, and other essential city services. And you have my commitment to give you whatever you need to make the job happen. We will, however, need to be proactive and responsive to our community, sometimes in ways that we haven't historically done. We have to commit ourselves to open and honest and proactive communication to earn and to continue to earn the public's trust and confidence. In closing, we've spent my entire time on the city council working to build back from a pandemic and reclaim what we have lost. And I feel that we can finally report to the Burbank community that we have done that. But in the year ahead, I challenge myself and all of us here on the dais. Our future is unwritten. We have systemic challenges that we have to address to make a Burbank that is safe and affordable and equitable and sustainable and welcoming to everyone who calls Burbank home. If there is any theme for my mayorship and the 2024 year ahead, I would describe it as hope. May we dare to dream of what Burbank can be in everything we do and in every decision that we make in the coming year. I truly believe that Burbank's best days remain ahead of us. To my colleagues, I look forward to working openly and collaboratively with you, and I hope to be your partner and a resource in finding solutions to the problems that I've outlined and many others that we simply don't have time to talk about today. I thank you all for your service and your leadership, and the community should know, though there are those who may offer comment or try to divide this council, this is very much a team sport. And it takes 5 incredible leaders and a very talented and dedicated staff to deliver results. And I look forward to helping lead that conversation in the coming year. And to the Burbank community, please know how much this opportunity means to me, how grateful I am to serve my home, the home of my family and our children. And I will commit my time, energy, focus, and efforts to the operations of this city. I am ready to get to work. I will not accept the status quo. And it's important that in 2024, we continue to be creative and innovative and to challenge what we've always done and to embrace those unanswered questions. And I really believe that if we do that, Burbank will thrive. And if we do it right, every Burbank resident will have that same opportunity to find happiness and success. That is why I'm doing this work. That is what we are all here to do. So let's get to work. Nope. Yes. Okay.
I think you're going to be all right. I think he's going to be a good mayor, guys.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to have to start calling you council member. That's so darn weird. So the last item of business before we all head to lunch, and then we get to the real work. I would like to begin my term as mayor by entertaining a motion to select a vice mayor. Who would like to? Yes, Councilmember Anthony.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a rude awakening.
So we talked a little bit about tradition and provisions and resolutions. I do want to go back 2 years. We had an interesting development in December of 2020. For the first time in anyone's memory, 2 new council members had been elected at the same time. That hadn't happened for a long while. So the following year, when it was time to select a vice mayor, we had this, unwritten tradition. And it came from, I believe, a problem that had occurred years prior. Former council member Tim Murphy was passed over a number of times to be vice mayor and mayor. And that didn't sit well with some community members, didn't sit well with some elected officials. And so began this, again, unwritten rule of selecting a council member who hadn't been vice mayor yet. in that term or in that longevity. And so when it came time for a vice mayor to be selected in 2021, there were 2 council members that had been vice mayor prior and 2 council members that hadn't. And the problem there was both Councilmember Schultz and myself at the time were elected on the same day. So there was no seniority between us. But the discussion at the time came about vote totals. And that discussion arose weeks prior to the actual swearing in of the 2 of us. On election night, I had the most votes at the time in Burbank history. And there was a very close race for second place. In the eyes of the community, I had been elected. Obviously, it wasn't official. It's not official until it's counted and everyone's sworn in. But everyone had just assumed that I had been elected at the time. And as the vote totals were moving forward, people were waiting to see who would get that second place. And so when it came time a year later to choose somebody on seniority, it had felt that I was senior to the council member Schultz at the time, simply because people had accepted me in the role days, if not weeks prior. And in that discussion, the vote totals became the signifying point. That regardless of any other metric, council members who had been elected on the same day without having prior serving on council, seniority would follow the number and total votes that they received on that specific election. And both Councilmember Schultz and myself at the time just talked about it, and we agreed that, okay, the higher vote total would have seniority and therefore be vice mayor. So today, I would like to move in that same spirit that Councilmember Nikki Perez, having been elected on the same day as the other council members, however, receiving the most votes in that election and in Burbank history, I will remind everyone, as painful as it is, to serve as vice mayor for the coming year.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Anthony. I have a motion. Is there a second?
Thank you, Councilmember Anthony. I humbly accept your nomination, and I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, Councilmember Takahashi, I'll recognize you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a discussion. I'm not saying anything that I agree or disagree with the motion. I just wanted to point out something about the tradition. Okay. So I did go back and watch the 2020 and 21 reorg meetings to find out what the truth was. And I'm not sure about the conversations that you had, the 2 of you, before that reorganization meeting in 2021, but you were the only 2 who mentioned it during that meeting, and there had never been a prior mention of vote counts before that. So I just want to say that even though that was discussed, and even though that is being brought up tonight as your own personal value and it's important to you, that is something that's new, actually.
The vote count.
The vote count,
Yes,
yeah.
I do agree.
Yeah,
yes.
the 2 of you brought that in as a new consideration between the 2 of you. And also, the third vote for you, who was another member who was the mayor, or had the previous mayor, did not mention vote counts.
Right.
All that person mentioned was, yeah, we need somebody new who hasn't been, because the rest of us have all been mayor, some of us more than once. And so they let the 2 of you decide between the 2 of you who was going to be vice mayor. So you had made that arrangement together, which I think is totally legitimate, but I just think it's important to understand that this is not something that has been going on for years and that this has been discussed. None of the other council members have discussed this. None of the other folks have been on this wavelength. And it's been kind of assumed, and I don't know how that message got to the community, that it's been assumed that that's what's going to happen. And I just think that it's a little bit excluding the rest of the council to talk about this issue. And I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm not saying I'm for it. It's just that I want to make it really clear that this is something the two of you had brought in 2021. It's your thing, and it sounds like Councilmember Perez is supportive of it, but it's not, this is new. And to that point, what Burbank's tradition is, actually we do have a tradition in Burbank, and what our tradition is every year we do the thing that's best for Burbank in that year. That is what our tradition is. And I've gone back all the way to 2010, and to watch the reorg. So I was curious. And by the way, I recommend going back because the vibe is so different going back and watching previous. And in fact, we have a really strong tradition. Before the two of you came onto council, nobody talked about the vote. There was no discussion, there was no comment, and that was the tradition. So you broke the tradition by having a commentary, which I think is kind of cool. But the tradition has been every year there's a unique set of circumstances. And that year, that set of circumstances, the group decides together by their votes of who's the best person for that circumstance for that year. And I think that's the tradition, and that's something I would argue we're doing now, but I just want to make sure that that's the conversation we're having, and we're not automatically just having things go because of momentum or because that's what you did last time, so you should do it this time. I also want to say that Tim Murphy was passed over again for vice mayor when he was brought in. I watched that reorg meeting and I was like, oh yeah, Tim Murphy did not get vice mayor that year either. So even though they tried to fix it with that, as from what you're saying, with that process, it still didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So my point of all this is just to say that I think tonight, it feels like tonight at this point, right? That we should look at this not as necessarily like just what happens next, but that we're making a collaborative, working together, just like the tradition of our team, right? So I just want to put that out there and just to think about that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilmember Takahashi. Were you wanting to respond to that?
I just wanted to clarify. Yes, you're absolutely right. The instance that had changed was that there were two new council members that had come in. And so we, at that time, found the vote count to be the issue. Yeah, between the two of us. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to, yes, I'll wait. Councilmember Perez?
Thank you. Councilmember Takahashi brought in that I had some understanding of this, and you're absolutely right. I did, given the memos and the information that we received from staff that set us in a traditional order. When we receive things like presenting certificates or doing things out in the community, it was always with Mayor Anthony, Vice Mayor Schultz, myself, Councilmember Takahashi, and Councilmember Mullins. I'm really grateful that you brought up, having watched the last few meetings. And, I've been thinking this is not an established tradition. I would welcome establishing it. I think it's great. I think it keeps politics. I think it keeps personal opinions out of government. But to your point about, knowledge and how that came about, quite frankly, I was basing myself on the information that we received from staff, on their order of, going down the list when it comes to these events, when it comes to who's presenting the cert. If you can't make it, he goes. If he can't make it, I go down the list. And so that's what I was basing myself on in thinking about the way the tradition goes. But I also think that I'm excited to see somebody qualified in the role. And I think all three of us are very qualified. So I'm basing myself on both of those things. And I also think Tim Murphy was very qualified, and I'm so sorry. And I hope that's not, we're talking about it today, so many years after. So you can see what kind of legacy it leaves when folks feel like they're skipped over.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Mullins.
We also forgot about Councilmember Gordon, who was passed also several, appointment for him to be a vice mayor or mayor. That was another situation. And I want to go back a little bit further than 2020. In our history of elections, we used to have a primary and a general, and that is truly when somebody receives the highest vote of the community, because we had 50% plus one. until the election changed and became with the county. So, but this is not our topic tonight, but that was what the community really looked at. Now I have to call you a council member. It's going to be crazy. I look at you and say, Mr. Mayor. But this is what truly was the receiving the highest vote is 50+1. And thank you for bringing this memo, Councilmember Perez, because I just looked at the city manager, not to put you on the spot, but I've never seen a memo. And I know this has been the order kind of, naturally just gravitated into it, but I was always concerned, or not concerned, like wondering, is there an official policy or memo or anything? Because sometimes, there's so many of us that may not be available to go to that event. So how do we determine who actually is going to represent the city? So that is something perhaps in the future, Mr. City Manager, if you want to jump in now, go ahead and jump in, but we can look at it in the future.
Yes, for our practice as far as who gets to do the ribbon cutting or presents or whatever, we have been using that practice as far as seniority and then votes, as well as like things like what office you're in if you're not the mayor or vice mayor. So, but as far as selection of a vice mayor or selection of the mayor, there is nothing. There's no policy, no document other than what's in the charter.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Mullins, anything you wanted to add?
Well, I do agree with my colleagues, and thank you, Councilmember Perez. And I know this process may seem to tend to look like there's a division or we're divided, because I think if one thing about this council that we've all have respect for each other, and we all try to do our best to at least present that for our community and support our community as such by our behavior up here. And I do appreciate both of your comments. And I stayed last really because I want to hear what you both have to say. And this does not go against my colleagues or their, absolutely not. What, about your capabilities of being a vice mayor serving the city of Burbank, because I know we all try to do our best to do it. The one thing I wanted to say, and I actually wrote something down, but I'm going to go ahead and just speak again from the heart, is this position as the vice mayor and also the mayor, as we know, takes tremendous amount of time and effort, and you have to show up to events and you have to be constantly available for whatever the community has to offer. And by no means to anybody's fault, because I too was, at one point working full time, and I know life is very, very, busy. I wanted to bring out that for me personally, I've retired from the city. As everybody knows, I have 36 plus years public service experience. I've been elected 3 times on council, as an elected official, not on council, city clerk, and then council. So I have dedicated my full-time life now for council duties and responsibilities. And if I did not at least throw my name and my hat in the ring and say that I'm ready and willing to serve as the vice mayor to Mr. Schultz, that I will be not serving my community right. I know there's a lot of different opinions out there and who should and who shouldn't be, and I think it's important and healthy that we all discuss it here as council members, because we're all very capable individuals that can do the job. But I'm bringing up the time and being full-time available to this situation of being the vice mayor, to the mayor if he's unable to represent the city. And I'm, not that any of us are not going to be hitting the ground running, but, I can fulfill this role very, very much in a very easy way, because I know exactly how it's done. I know the time is dedicated, and I've done so by demonstrating that to the community. So serving the people I represent, and I know they would like to see me at least bring this up. And I want my colleagues to know I'm here. I'm willing to serve as I continue to do for our community. I too want to put my name in there. I know I wasn't nominated. Mr. Anthony did that, but I do like to at least put my name in. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councilmember Anthony?
Well, I was going to say, is there a substitute motion?
Yes, procedurally, one could make a substitute motion if you're inclined. It does require a second, and that becomes the operative motion on the floor.
Before we do that, may I make a comment before possible substitute motion? Okay, just discussing this still. Okay, so I wasn't prepared to say this quite this way because I didn't know how this was going to go. But I feel similarly to Councilmember Mullins that I'm ready to serve as well, and that I have also the time to fully dedicate to this role because I'm no longer, for the next 6 months or so, I'm no longer working while I'm waiting for my licensure number. But I also wanted to say that one of the reasons why, for me, that's interesting to be in this role is that nonpartisanship is such a huge priority for me. And one of the commenters said the community is looking at us to lead, not to fight. And not to say that we would fight, or anything, but I feel like that is such a high priority for me. This coming year is going to be a campaign year. It's a big one. And for me, I'm not interested in the inner workings of the campaign. I hardly even know who's running, to be honest. I kind of remember some of the names. And I'm really mainly focused on Burbank. And so somebody else in the comments said, let's maintain unity and not be distracted. And so that's for me what my focus would be, is to be focused 100% on Burbank and let the other circuses and monkeys take care of themselves outside Burbank and just focus on Burbank. And I also think that I'm absolutely okay and supportive of either of these other fabulous colleagues of mine to be vice mayor as well. But I wanted to at least have a chance to say something since it was going around, and that whoever gets elected or selected as vice mayor, I will 100% support, because that is my goal, is to stay here. And my hope is to keep the politics, to keep all the campaign stuff, to keep all that we know is going to go on in the community outside of this room, and to focus on the meat of the matter, the issues. And to me, potholes don't have political parties. And so it's important to focus on what we're doing here. And I'm really happy with how our council has done that for the most part, 98% of the time, has done that in this council. And a lot of what comes in here that's political is not of our doing. It's more of a leak in, right? And so I think we do a great job of that, but I just would like to say that would be a main goal, and I think it's really important to me. And so I just wanted to also put my hat in the ring for that point. But thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Of course. Colleagues, if it's all right, I'd like to weigh in. So I've had a chance to think a lot about this vote, especially on the flight last night back from Oregon. So I'm not going to leave you guessing long. I'll tell you where I'm leaning, but I do want to add a little context to history. In 2020, we did have an unusual situation where we were both elected. I would not describe it myself, Councilmember Anthony, as an agreement between you and I or some conversation only between you and I. I went to a lot of former mayors of this community who I consulted with in the last week leading up to this vote. And you are right, Councilmember Takahashi, and as the city manager said, that the seniority afforded to the higher vote getter is not necessarily applied to the vice mayorship, but it does apply to other contexts like votes and things like that. However, that is an ongoing custom and tradition that we have held to, and in 2020 we did apply it. So I wanted to add a little bit of context to sort of my thought process. A custom and tradition is nothing that binds the council. We can deviate from it, absolutely. So in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, Councilmember Anthony, no, I'm sorry, this would have been December of 2021. We had a very unfortunate situation where I believe politics did bleed into the council, and Mayor Frutos, or former Mayor Frutos at the time, nominated Councilmember Springer out of order. And to me, I felt that it damaged the relationship on council. I can't speak for anyone else, but I felt that it did, because there really wasn't a willingness to give either you or I the opportunity to serve, as I want my three fabulous colleagues to have the chance to serve. That is what I think we have to guard against in terms of guarding against the over-politicization of this process, and that's why I so appreciate having a rotational mayor and vice mayor system. So I want to be very clear, there is absolutely nothing that binds this council by any sort of recent or more historical custom or tradition. The question I always have is there a reason to deviate from it? Is there some disqualification? And we had a pretty hearty conversation about that last year when you were nominated, Mayor Anthony. Community members had a lot of thoughts about whether you were or were not fit to serve. I reached the conclusion that you would perform the job of vice mayor admirably and therefore deserved to advance. I had no reason to deviate from the position.
I don't know how you got there.
Yet again, he gets a laugh from the whole room. I love that.
And I'm going to second that. I agree.
So when I look at my three colleagues, I think you're all immensely qualified. And actually, I think if we could put you all into one person, I mean, your strengths are so complementary and different. I look forward to seeing all three of you serve as mayor and vice mayor for Burbank. But with all of that said, I think what moved me more than anything, because I'm going to tell the community exactly where my heart is and how I'm going to vote, because you have a right to know, and there's been a lot of calls for transparency and accountability. It was actually the public comment calling for transparency and accountability and consistency over the last few weeks that actually moved me on this issue. And as much as I could make the case for either of my colleagues to the left, if I'm being consistent with the same argument that I made last year and the year before that, then I have to be consistent, and I can find no reason to say that Councilmember Perez is not qualified. So I will be in support of the motion. Is there any other discussion, motions? No, then we'll go to a roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Perez?
Yes.
Councilmember Takahashi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schultz?
Yes.
And Mayor Anthony?
Well, wait, hold on there.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, that got me. All right. So we have the first three. I think it'd be Councilmember Anthony.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
And Mayor Schultz?
Do I need a vice mayor? I don't know. Yes, I will vote yes.
Thank you.
So, colleagues, please help me in congratulating Councilmember Perez.
Is this my water?
That's your water.
All right.
Okay.
While there is a great discussion about the custom and tradition of the seating order, we're instead going to allow Vice Mayor Perez to say a few words.
I want to take a moment to thank all of my colleagues for their support and their trust in me in this role of vice mayor. I appreciate the discussion we had. I think it was great. I think it adds to transparency. And every single time this council comes up to bat, I am always in awe of the way we decide our things. We are transparent, we are clear, we are honest, we have heart, and we are a team. Thank you. So thank you all. And this is incredibly historic for me and for our city. And I'm extremely honored and humbled to serve as such. And I look forward to upholding the office of vice mayor to the highest standard and representing our city well. I'm incredibly grateful for all the work we have accomplished this year. From uplifting our city staff through competitive and fair compensation packages, celebrating diversity and inclusion by establishing a policy to light City Hall in commemoration for important cultural community moments such as Pride Week, all the way to establishing our first ever Dolores Huerta Day. And because it hasn't been said enough, yes, that budget. We have a very balanced budget we should all be proud of. And our mayor shared a lot of the things we have to look to the future, so I will not do that again. But as we end this year and begin a new chapter, I'm reflecting on this time last year. I was sworn into office alongside my two colleagues, marking the first time that we had a majority female council. And what a council it's been. And it was a day of a lot of firsts. I also became the first Indigenous and the first openly LGBTQ council member in the city's history. And it's not lost on me that I'm only the second Latina to serve in this role, and as has been shared countless times, quite the young council member. In the last few weeks, as community members shared their excitement about my potential vice mayorship in the rotation and the discussion of first came up again, I must admit it is something that gives me mixed feelings. Although I'm deeply proud to represent parts of our community that are traditionally underrepresented and who historically have not had a voice, I know that I wish I was not the first, but rather the norm and one of many that are going to be up here one day. And this brought me to reflect on someone who dealt with this greatly at a time before we even spoke about diversity or inclusion. And I want to take a moment, wherever you are, I know you can be with us today, but I want to thank former Mayor Marcia Ramos. You were the very first Latina to serve on this council. In your groundbreaking role and through your boldness, you opened the doors for me to serve on this council today and hold the office of vice mayor. And for the hurdles you crossed, everything you must have faced, I am incredibly grateful to you for your trailblazing service. Thank you. And you've also inspired me to blaze a path for our next generation of leaders. In many ways, I know it's not easy to set precedent. Some people will question your qualifications and even the way you present. But you know what? Many more will look to you for example and see in your success a path for their future, in the same way I looked at Mayor Ramos when I was a BUSD student and saw a path for my future. And I also want to acknowledge that we had our superintendent, John Paramo, in the room, who was actually the vice principal at John Burroughs High School when I was a student there. And finally, in looking forward to the year ahead, I want to thank our newly elected Mayor Schultz for his comments about tying equity and opportunity to the growth of our city. I think that's an incredibly important theme we should look to embody in the coming year. And I want to end on one thing. Last year, I said that my candidacy was a love letter to my hometown, and that I have always dreamed of making Burbank more accessible to everyone. Today, that love letter and that dream continues in this new tenure. And I really look forward to serving as Burbank's first LGBTQ and Indigenous vice mayor. But more importantly, I look forward to being a part of a council that continues the trailblazing work for those who have come before us, for those that come after us, by doing three very important things that I know we will continue to do. Opening doors for diverse entrepreneurship, home ownership, and tenancy in our city, and continuing to establish historic leadership roles in our community. And finally, I know in my heart that all of us on this dais, our staff, and our community will be striving to create a Burbank where everyone can live, grow, and thrive. Thank you to my fellow council members. Let's have a great year.
Well, congratulations again, Vice Mayor Perez, and to the entire council. And before I take us out, there is one last thing I'd like to say, because we've talked a lot over the last year about partisanship. Whether you supported me or you don't, whether you support me now or you don't, I want you to know that as your mayor, I'm a mayor for everyone. We may not see eye to eye, but I'm accessible to you, and I will work tirelessly for you, and I will leave you with this. I know that every person up here on this dais feels the exact same way, and we have one heck of a team to tackle some of those challenges we talked about today. So thank you all for being here. With that, yes, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to wish both of you a very successful and boring year ahead.
Oh, I'll second that. Same here. I don't want excitement.
I hope so too, because sometimes I just, give it back, but I'll try to hold that on.
Ladies and gentlemen, boring government is good government.
With that, the City Council appreciates your presence at the 2023 reorganization meeting, a very special meeting for all of us. As you know, this is the important part. The council meets in regular session most every Tuesday night at 6 p.m., and the public is always welcome to join us. With that, we now adjourn the meeting to our next meeting on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, for a regular meeting in the council chamber, 275 East Olive Avenue, second floor. On behalf of the entire Burbank City Council and our staff, Happy holidays and Happy New Year, Burbank.